call this meeting back to order at 2:16 p.m. on Sunday, September 1st. May all members please say their name for the record.
Jackson Ranson.
Aaliyah Hunley.
Normal Sophie. Daniel Armour.
Andrew Vice Chair.
Josh Bass.
Any members of the public? All right, we are now in line for SSB 2024-1559. You have 5 minutes to present whenever you are ready.
Just a second, please. All right, I'm going to first start by reading a statement. Good afternoon. Last Thursday, I submitted 140 bills to the Student Senate encompassing a range of initiatives such as funding 24/7 Marston, supporting the Baby Gator Child Care Program, and codifying pedestrian safety videos. My primary goal in drafting these bills has been to serve the best interests of our student body. I'm dedicated to upholding the promises made by all groups, incorporating goals from both major political parties, and creating original legislation to address these concepts and advance our campus. While the general goals of both the Vision Party Caucus and Change Party Caucus inspired some of my legislation, no intellectual property was manipulated, and all legislation is my own, researched by me, written by me, and submitted by me. I have recently been made aware of threats from the Vision Party Caucus leadership against my career, facing allegations of academic dishonesty and unfair crediting, with potential actions before the Student Conduct Committee and expulsion from the University of Florida unless I withdraw my legislation. I give credit for the goals and ideas achieved through my original legislative work to both the Vision Party Caucus and Change Party Caucuses. I'm committed to working with all parties involved to ensure that our student government maintains high standards of accountability and professionalism, and that proper attribution is provided. No student should face threats of expulsion or have their future jeopardized simply for proposing legislation designed to benefit the student body. As an unpaid senator, my motivation is solely to advance the interests of all students. I should not have to fear for my safety or career, for my commitment to addressing our community's needs. Thank you. All right, I'm now going to move into the first bill, which happens to be the most lighthearted one of the entire stack, and I did that on purpose because I'd like to start us off on a good note. So this is the resolution calling for the University of Florida to issue an honorary degree for Tenders the Cat. So I recently came across a news article from Vermont State University, and they awarded their pet cat, Max.
How's it going?
So they recently awarded their pet cat named Max a doctorate in literature, which I thought was really cute, and I thought, why not at least advocate for Tenders, a beloved cat of our own, to get some kind of honorary degree or designation by the university. And so with that, this is just a bill asking that the University of Florida consider issuing such an honorary degree to Tenders, who has been in the community for, since 2018, has been taken care of by multiple gators herself, and is just really important for the community. And also, I'm not going to keep yapping, but one other thing too is that the University of Florida has actually benefited from Tenders and branding from Tenders as well. So it would be nice to give back to Tenders. For example, in 2022, as it says in the bill, University of Florida Fresh Dining used Tenders for branding on T-shirts, magnets, a bunch of other things. So it just makes sense to do something fun for once and advocate for this. So I'm going to yield the rest of my time.
All right, we're now in line for 5 minutes of question and answer, beginning now. How did you select these adjectives to describe Tenders the cat?
Where?
Adventurous, independent, friendly, and outgoing.
I actually received it directly from Tenders caretaker. So this was like a real, I actually did the research. And not research, but the outreach. I reached out to the current caretaker, and they provided all the information here. And that's also been supplemented by past Reddit posts and stuff. I mean, they're very limited information. It's not like you have to publish it and stuff. So.
Would you be open to amending the last whereas clause? It says his friendly and affectionate, but all the others say her.
Yeah, that must have just been a simple mistake.
Okay.
I appreciate you catching that. It says her? No. Oh, the last whereas clause. Yeah. Oh, gotcha. Yeah. You don't mind fixing that for her? That's silly. Yeah. A lot of these bills were drafted in airports and stuff, so I just I'm a little all over the place with that. But yeah, you don't mind fixing that'd be great.
Hey. All right, are there any more questions? Seeing, actually, would you be amenable to adding people to the sponsors line?
Of course, and I'm really glad we started this one just to make it chill and vibes. So, yeah, please sponsor it. It'd be cool.
All right. Are there any more questions? Seeing none, we're now in line for 5 minutes of debate. Also, may anyone who just entered please state their name for the record.
Yes, Elizabeth and Celeste. Sarah Hoffer.
Julia Cipher.
Awesome. Okay, and you can start that timer now. Good? Yeah, great, Bill.
I think it's fun.
It is fun.
It is lighthearted. I'm glad we started off.
That was the
I support.
Yeah. I didn't realize. Yeah, this is cool. I didn't realize that Vermont State University Castle. That's very cool to find. That there actually is precedent. Yeah, very cool. Sources look good. Nicely updated proviso. And yep. All right. Is there any more debate? Seeing none, we're now in line for 2 minutes of final privilege. Whenever you're ready.
You'll notice that I did kind of start using a much simpler proviso and also shrinking the text size and everything, so I hope that that's like good. Yeah, just cool. Please sponsor it. Please fix the whereas clause, and I yield. All
right, we're now in line for any motions at this time. Are there any motions?
I move to amend SSB 2024-1559 to change the last whereas clause from his to her, and to add Senator Aaliyah Henley to
Judiciary Chairman and Rubai.
Jackson Ranson.
Oh, Daniel Weber.
to the sponsors line by unanimous consent.
Are there any objections? Seeing none, that motion passes. Okay.
I move to pass SSB 2024-1559 by unanimous consent.
Are there any objections? Seeing none, the motion passes. Also, I'm going to update everyone. We changed the procedure slightly over summer. So basically what happens whenever we make an amendment is I make it in real time. That way it's easier when everything gets sent out later. Also, I make a separate folder with every piece of legislation that we've worked through. So it does take a little bit more time in between, but it also saves me like hours later. So just going to point that out. Who else was on the sponsors line?
I was.
Okay.
Danny was.
Okay,
And myself.
perfect. Sorry, Nora, I'm looking up how to spell your last name. All right, we're now in line for SSB 2024-1560. You have 5 minutes to present whenever you're ready.
Awesome. So I'm going to try to keep things brief, bill over bill, because I know we have a lot to get through, and I have a reputation for being a yapper, and I'm going to try and fix that. So this is the Voter Opportunity and Turnout Empowerment Act, one of 2 volumes. This one specifically codifies that Marston and the Wrights are both polling locations, and that in the case that they can't be polling locations, the Dean of University Libraries can basically submit a letter or a document of some sort saying such, and they won't be locations. This allows for more students to get access to voting in 2 central locations across campus and 2 locations that historically have been open for every single election cycle. I yield.
All right, we are now in line for 5 minutes of question and answer, beginning now. Are there any questions?
I have a question. So just to clarify, the the Dean of University Libraries has the opportunity to say no otherwise if they don't agree with this, right?
Yes.
Okay. Have you spoken to them yet about it?
No, but we have extensive communication with specifically the head of Marston Science Library, and they have said semester over semester that they are more than capable of opening a polling location for election days at Marston Science Library, and it's been done for decades.
Are you aware of any restrictions on the passage of 700 code legislation?
Just that it has to be done 5 weeks out from election days.
Could this piece of legislation be passed 5 weeks out from election days?
Hypothetically, yes, it can. The election is in 5 weeks, so yes, it can.
How many readings are required for any code revisions?
2. There's still a possibility of special meetings being requested and delivered, and other routes that can be taken for the Senate to pass this. If it's a priority of the Student Senate to increase voter opportunity and turnout, then they'll get it done by creating a special meeting. It can be done on the same day as Tuesday's meeting, and we can get this done.
Are there any more questions? Seeing none, we're now in line for 5 minutes of debate. Beginning now.
It's starting. I don't know if it's feasible to have another Senate meeting before, what is it, Wednesday, I think? To mark that 5 weeks.
Tuesday.
Tuesday. Yeah, that's my input.
I think if the special meeting is held on the same day, I mean, it's been done before, and it doesn't have to be like a really long meeting. It's just for the purpose of being able to pass and read this twice.
We're gonna have a special meeting after the entirety of the Senate meeting. So it doesn't seem very big, I don't know.
I agree with Senator Weinberger. It seems like the time constraints are pretty difficult to overcome.
It's also Sunday, and we don't know that senators would be able to make it to the Senate meeting, or special meeting. Yeah.
I'm just going to point out that there has been a precedent that many members that are sitting here today have set, that is, if legislation is barred by a timeline similar to this, and this has happened with previous election date changes, previous 700 code legislation, and a variety of other things, that we haven't passed it because of the fact that we would be in violation of, in this case, the Constitution. That is, just to state it out loud, Article 3, Section 7I, which states that we cannot change the election laws during the 5 weeks before the scheduled election to be effective for that election. And this legislation is effective immediately. Spring 2024. Okay, well, okay, yeah. Yep, so, yes, I assume that's what it meant. So yes, we haven't done this in the past. I don't see why we would break that precedent now for this legislation. Otherwise, what was the purpose in the last 40 bills or so that if this has happened to? I remember specifically there were a lot of 700 code legislation in the spring, I believe, that was unable to be heard because of the same timeline. So yes, that's my opinion.
Okay, just to be clear though, the only major constraint like people are against this bill is the time restraints. The actual content though, does anyone have
What's the
anything to debate
implication
on?
of what you said?
Yeah, I'd like to see more conversations between, the Senate as a whole and the Dean of University Libraries as well. Just so, if this is to happen, there has to be a plan in place for it to happen. But yeah, but as of today, the most pressing concern is the time constraint. Is there any more debate? Seeing none, we're now in line for 2 minutes of final privilege, whenever you are ready.
Senators, everything that I heard is nothing more than an excuse to skirt past the opportunity we have before us, which is to increase the opportunity for students to come out and vote during an election. There are over 90 senators in the Student Senate. Engaging in a special meeting requires just 51. We can get it done. It's more than possible. It's been done before. And frankly, I did not hear a single argument to be made against using the 5 criteria against this bill. And so I think that the Judiciary Committee is not doing its justice and due diligence of ensuring that this bill is given a proper opportunity to be passed on the floor. We also have not heard from the Senate President or the student body president regarding whether they believe that setting up a special meeting is necessary to get this done. So failing this bill today prevents us from having that opportunity. And once again, is much like it was last semester when this bill was before us. It's an excuse to skirt past the opportunity to give students the chance to vote and a higher accessibility to vote. I yield.
All right, we're now in line for any motions at this time.
I move to fail SSB 2024-1560 based on the criteria of constitutionality and unanimous consent.
I object.
I would make that
That
motion.
motion's been objected
by
to.
roll call vote.
All right, that motion has been remade by roll call vote. May the clerk please take roll.
Sorry.
Do you have the list of people? If you don't, because it is a new committee, I can.
Yeah, I have the list of people. It's on the issue website.
Okay, yeah. So just read off the names
Sure.
that are here. Yeah,
So, Branson,
Yes.
Rubai.
I'm last.
Oh, sorry.
All good.
Headley,
Yes.
Kolasirki, Weinberger, and Sebastian.
No.
Seeing as my vote does not affect the outcome, I will abstain from this vote. In a vote of 4-1 that motion passes. SSB 2024-1560 has been failed. We are now in line for SSB.
Sorry, guys.
It's okay. 2024-1561. You have 5 minutes to present whenever you are ready.
So I'd first like to start off by saying that the failure of the previous bill on grounds of constitutionality is improper and incorrect. So for this bill, this is an authorization ordering the Supervisor of Elections to open the Wainwright's Union as well as Marston Science Library for elections in this coming fall election. That's correctly noted in this one. And it's well within our constitutional bounds to do this. This one, unlike the last one, cannot be excused based off of constitutional grounds for the 5 weeks rule, because this is not a code revision, it's an authorization, it can be done at any point in time. So if we care about voting, and the only issue with the previous bill is that it was a 700 code revision close to the 5 week window, then that should have no bearing on the passage of this bill. I encourage everyone to read through the specific whereas clauses of the bill. It indicates how voter turnout has increased at such a rate that there's a polling strain on all locations currently, and nothing has been done about it to open Marston Science Library specifically for polling, and although it has been open for decades previously. So I'm going to yield the remainder of my time.
All right, we are now in line for 5 minutes of questions and answers, beginning now. I'll also keep this open longer so people have a chance to read through the document. All right, are there any questions?
Could this be passed without passing the previous bill?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, clarifying question. In the whereas clause, it says outlines the power of the student senate to pass an authorization or directive requiring 2/3 vote, their enactment that advises, orders, or prescribes the method for an officer to fulfill a duty provided for in the Constitution. So in this case, the officer in question is the Supervisor of Elections. Does the Supervisor of Elections pick the final polling locations?
Yes. according
the
to
se-
their duty to pick. And it's
In the
specific-
700 codes, do you know if it states that? Oh, let me put Iris in that. Yeah, this is. How much time is left?
2 minutes and 34 seconds.
Okay, sorry, I'm just reading.
Are there any questions?
Okay, no more questions? Everyone's had a chance to read through everything? Seeing none, we're now in line for 5 minutes of debate, beginning now. Awesome. Is there any debate?
Well, I think given what we discussed in the previous bill, there's no reason to fail this based off of any of the fact criteria. So in my opinion, I think we should pass it to the floor and let it be discussed on the floor, since it's clearly a relevant issue that a lot of students are being affected by, which is voter turnout, where they could potentially vote, and this is a resolution, so there's no time constraint.
Okay, so, yeah, this is not a resolution, it's an authorization. So, just to point that out, there is a difference. In this case, it has to order an officer that is described in the Constitution. So, my issue is that the Elections Commission is not outlined in the Constitution. Supervisor of Election is, however. This says that the Supervisor of Elections hereby required to, but in the 700 codes in 714.8, it states that the Supervisor of Elections shall submit to the Chair of the Elections Commission a list of proposed polling locations. The Elections Commission has final say on the polling locations. It is not the Supervisor of Elections. That was incorrect. So this is ordering someone who cannot make the final say to make the final say, which confuses me. And I understand why it was submitted. It makes sense, because it couldn't be submitted for the Elections Commission because they aren't described in the Constitution. But this is a weird gray area that I'd like to figure out what this means.
But so the Supervisor of Elections submits a list of proposed polling locations.
Correct.
So it could still ask the Supervisor of Election, or because it's in the Constitution, to submit Marston as a potential polling location.
Yes, except the language in this bill, in this authorization that was submitted, is that the Supervisor of Elections is hereby required to establish polling locations. It doesn't say that it should be submitted. This is an authorization specifically. I mean, the intent of the bill is to have it be a final say when the individual, the officer who is being directed, does not have the final say. Is there any more debate? Seeing none, we're now in line for 2 minutes of final privilege whenever you are ready.
Yeah, so this is a really simple fix here. Instead of ordering that the Supervisor of Elections is required to establish polling locations, we can still require the Election Commission to, since exclusionary powers are directly given to all, and I'm quoting this Constitution here, all student government offices of the judicial branch. Obviously, the Election Commission serves as officers of the judicial branch. Therefore, we have the authority to order the Supervisor of Election, or sorry, the Elections Commission rather, to do this. If we fail this bill today without doing that amendment and making it constitutionally sound before passage, we are failing the student body to ensure that they are granted the opportunity to vote. This has been an issue that's been brought forward multiple times. In fact, I brought this to the Election Commission last spring, and the only reason why it was failed at that time was that one of the justices felt that students should walk a little bit further to go and vote if they so choose. I take serious issue with that. That's why I put up this bill again. That's why it should be passed now. That's why it has to be passed now. and I asked that if there are serious questions of constitutionality or something, obviously table it before you fail it, that we can simply fix it by just changing supervisor elections to election commission, and it's constitutionally sound. There's no other concerns for this bill. So I yield.
All right, we're now in line for any motions at this time.
I move
Are
to
there?
amend SSB 2024-1561 to strike out supervisor elections and replace it with elections commission.
I object.
A unanimous.
Okay. Please, wait for everyone to finish before. It's all good.
I object.
It's fine.
I remake that motion for a roll call vote.
All right, the motion's been remade by roll call vote. May the clerk please take roll.
Ranson,
No.
Henley,
No.
Oserki,
No.
Weinberger,
No.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Goodbye.
Seeing as my vote does not affect the outcome, I abstain from voting. In,
Is the clerk a member of the committee?
Nope.
no.
Oh,
No.
just wanna make sure.
Yes, no. The clerk was a member of the committee.
I just-
Over.
Great.
Yes.
He's a great member.
Thank you.
Okay. In a vote of 1 to 4 to 1, that motion fails. Are there any other motions at this time?
I move to table SSB 2024-1561 by unanimous consent.
Are there any objections? Seeing none, that motion passes. SSB 2024-1561 has been tabled. We are now in line for SSB 2024-1562. You have 5 minutes. Sorry, 5 minutes whenever you are ready.
Perfect. So I was inspired by former Senator Simone Liang and her efforts to encourage mental health days across our campus to write a couple of bills about mental health days. So this one, actually, you have to kind of go all the way to the very bottom. Sorry about how long the bill is for the change. But it allows mental health considerations to be a reason for absences to be excused within standing committees. I know it's a very slim little thing, it probably won't happen very often, but I think that it's important that our Senate is proactive for mental health considerations on all grounds. And although I understand that absences for committees are very rare, particularly when they're have sanctions against somebody for that. I know that doesn't happen often, but I think that we need to put our best foot forward when it comes to mental health concerns and pass this bill. So I yield.
All right, we're now in line for 5 minutes of questions and answers. Beginning now. Are there any questions? What were you envisioning for the submission of for excused absences? Usually you have to submit something demonstrating that it was excused. I feel as if I wouldn't want to be invasive asking someone about their mental health concerns. How did you plan on having them submit those to the committee chairs?
Right. So, really it's a matter of how the committee chairs deem it to be, most appropriate. Obviously, each chair is going to want to, do things a little bit differently. And just as, we request for, there's other situations here, death in the immediate family, severe illness, just as those are very sensitive topics as well, there are already standards in place and precedences to, be careful on those touchy subjects. So however the chair deems fit for that particularly, just as they do for others, I think it's appropriate.
I have a question. So just to continue on that subject, there wouldn't be any specific regulation or language that determines what that consideration would be, right? It's just
No, just as severe
I'm feeling
illness.
this way, so I would hope to be excused.
Right, exactly. Just as for severe illness, we don't have any specific outlines for that either, because it's unfair for us to create a threshold for what a severe illness is. Everyone goes through different things, different struggles. It's the same exact thing. Mental health and physical health are intertwined, and that's what our bill aims to achieve, to ensure that we are covering all of our bases, including mental health, because it's a very serious issue.
Are there any more questions? Can I have some more? Okay. Firstly, I know that excused absences work differently for committees than they do for the regular chamber, for example. How many times, is there a limitation to how many times this could be invoked throughout a semester, or is it, could this be used weekly? I hope that wouldn't be the case, and I really don't think it would be. I just purely from a completeness understanding of this.
Well, so, as you know, it's really up to the discretion largely to the committee chair. Obviously, the committee chair is able to, put up meetings anytime they want. You could have put 3 meetings up today if you wanted to, right? So it really is a case-by-case basis, and that's why we have the beautiful thing about this is that the committee chair is responsible for working this out with each individual senator on a case-by-case basis. So just as, once again, I'm just going to repeat it again, as a severe physical illness would be up to the interpretation of the chair, mental health would be too.
All right. Are there any more questions? Seeing none, we're now in line for 5 minutes of debate, beginning now. I think this is the correct direction. I think we really need to prioritize mental health, especially with committees that I know can go too long sometimes. I apologize for that. It's partially my fault. But I do think we have to prioritize that. And I think that we should be including considerations for mental health in this list. The only thing that I will say is for committees, there are usually fewer meetings than there are for the regular Senate, and attendance is very important a lot of the time. For example, today I was almost concerned we weren't going to reach quorum because when I sent out the message, there weren't as many likes as I'd like to see. So I will say, keeping that in mind, because there's no limit to the number of excused absences you can have in committee. For example, in the chamber, once you hit 4 combined, then it becomes, I think it's 3 before you're sent a notification. But in committee, for example, if anyone, and this is where it's completely up to the discretion of the chair, if anyone ever tells me that they can't make it for any reason, I excuse their absence. And I have done this for every single person and every single reason that's come through, but I understand that might not be the case for all committees. So I do think we would have to implement this, but I would like there to be maybe a limitation on the number of times that, and I understand that's tricky to say because we do value the mental health of especially our committee members, other senators, and all students. But I do think for the sake of making sure that there's quorum and that we can get through the legislation we'd like to, that for example, there could be like one or pick a number, some designated number of mental health absences that could be excused for committees. I think that's a reasonable middle ground between wanting to be compassionate with also wanting to ensure that we reach quorum at our meetings.
So if we implemented that, how would it look in this code specifically for C2?
We would have to make a new one. It would be, for example, we could do C, I, and then I think it would be, I don't know what the next letter would be. We'd make a subsection under the subsection that would say that, or under 2, where it is right now, reasons for absence to be excused, because that would fit there. You could say 1, absence may be excused for mental health consideration. 1 can be, we can choose the wording there, but will be excused for mental health considerations. And I think that way it's in the correct section, it applies, and it does hopefully improve the mental health of people on committees. I think this is a really lovely bill.
Yeah. I would just say, I completely agree with the reasoning of wanting to, add specification. But I'm just saying that as of right now, as it stands, that the chair has full discretion of how they're going to handle the severe illnesses or immediate family. Adding the mental health considerations isn't really changing what the procedures are already done. It's just kind of adding a new reasoning that could be counted as an excused absence. And I think that adding now numbers to you can only use 1 excuse that's mental health, or it's then we would maybe need to add you can only have 2 unexcused absences for a standing committee, or something like that. I think as it stands right now, it just makes more sense to leave it up to the chair. But I'm down for adding specifics if you feel it would better serve the chairs.
Yeah, I what I really want to avoid is the chairs having to be in a position where, and I hope this wouldn't happen, where it would, become problematic if people who are struggling with mental health, and don't get me wrong, I don't want to cause strife between the chairs and excused absences for committees. So I don't want there to ever be a dialogue that isn't productive in making sure what's best for both the committee and the individual. So I do see your point. That is because there would have to be, for example, a section saying that there could be a limitation on excused plus unexcused, but I think we should leave that out for the sake of, I think a lot of people do use more than a couple excused absences, especially when our meeting times aren't as standard as the typical Senate meeting times. For example, Sunday at 2 p.m. Usually it's either Sunday at 12 or sometimes it's on Friday. Especially over the summer, that would be really difficult to follow. But I do think it would be a good idea maybe. And if the stipulation is a bad idea, for example, then we could remove that later on. Okay. We're now in line for 2 minutes of final privilege whenever you're ready.
All right, so I really disagree with the idea of putting a limit on the number of mental health considerations that can be made. It just seems unfair considering, other situations here like death in the immediate family or severe illness. Theoretically, that could happen an infinite number of times in a semester. You never know what somebody's going through. And that's also why we require senators to show up to the Senate. That's where the real absences carry weight, not so much to committees. Although I do understand the question that the chair has brought forward about meeting quorum. Obviously, it's a concern. I would just think it would be better to consider maybe making amendments to either this section 8 or even other sections, because it's a little bit unclear as to whether that should go here, since they're just reporting the absences to rules and ethics. It's not that the chair is making a determination of whether they should be kicked out or something. So I think that's something that should be explored as just a general issue with absences in committees moving forward, but that has no bearing on whether we should consider mental health as a reason for someone to have an excused absence. So I think that it seems like the committee's in agreement that this should move forward. I hope that it does. And if there are other future concerns about excused absences in committees, that be a separate issue in another bill. And I do.
All right. Are there any motions at this time?
I move to pass SSB 2024-1562 by unanimous consent.
All right. Are there any objections? Seeing none, that motion passes. SB 2024-1562 has been passed. Did I change the numbers at the top? Yes, I did. All right, give me 1 second. Move to the other folder. All right, we're now in line for SSB 2024-1563. You have 5 minutes to present whenever you're ready.
All right, so this is a bill that, again, goes deeper into mental health days. Again, this is an issue that both parties have talked about and discussed on various occasions for the last several years, in fact. And so this bill specifically outlines the need to uphold our core value of excellence in community in ensuring that someone is fighting to lobby the University of Florida to create a mental health day or some sort of day offered to students to take off for the sake of mental health needs. So this is an authorization ordering the External Affairs Agency to coordinate with relevant stakeholders to go through and lobby the university administration to do so. Now, I want to address concerns about constitutionality before we even get into that, because I'm sure it's going to come up. I do understand that it doesn't specifically outline the External Affairs Director in the Student Body Constitution, so I understand the argument can be made that this individual actor cannot be ordered to do anything. But it is my firm belief, under the purview of the Student Body Constitution and specifically the Student Body President as the officer above the Executive Affairs Agency, and the agency being a part of the Student Body President's control, that this is just ordering the Student Body President, the Office of the Student Body President, specifically an agency within the purview of the Student Body President, to do a job, which is to lobby. And so I see no issues with this constitutionally. I would love to answer questions if anyone has any, and I just think for the sake of, again, offering students the opportunity to have a break for mental health purposes, this is a very important bill to pass. So I'm going to yield the remainder of my time.
All right, we're now in line for 5 minutes of questions and answers.
Have you spoken to Mason Solomon about this?
No.
Okay.
Have you spoken to any member of the External Affairs Agency?
I want to address a concern that I've heard for over a year now, and that is that you have to reach out to every single person at the University of Florida campus who relates to this. I understand the need. I'm just going to be very brief here because I would have addressed it in a later point anyway. I don't have to reach out to every person to get their say on this. We have the constitutional right to order student government officials to do something. That's what we're doing here. And asking whether someone was contacted is not part of the 5 criteria. And so I'm going to ask that we continue to maintain our arguments around the 5 criteria because that's the sole job of the committee. So I hope that answers the question, but no, I have not reached out to anyone.
Okay. Who would you like to see the lobbying done to specifically? Are you imagining more of a university faculty administration level, or both that and maybe state and other external government stakeholders?
Yeah, so I've actually been in contact with a couple of different people. I know I just said I didn't contact anybody in student government. I have contacted other individuals within the university, specifically the dean of the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences. So each dean of colleges are generally the ones that would go through with this, right? But the thing is, I recognize the severity of an authorization and order being placed on the student government executive branch. And trust me, I understand how serious this is, right? I want to keep it general because I don't want to have the External Affairs Agency head be liable for such strict conditions. I want them to be able to go to whoever they see fit to talk to about this. So that means university administrators from each individual college, as well as anyone to do with mental health, the CWC, anyone who can get this done. I want them to have the agency on their own accord to do that, and I don't want to be so strict. I just want them to start doing something, which is the point, because they haven't. So.
Are there any more questions? Seeing none, we're now in line for 5 minutes of debate, beginning now.
I think the fact that it's not specifically saying who they have to lobby to, or even saying like what exactly they have to do to lobby, it's just saying that they should have this as a goal and should start doing something towards this initiative that I've heard everyone, at least like on both sides, say they're passionate about or want to potentially see happen. It just means that it's a cause that I think we can all get on board with. I don't see anything wrong with this bill. I don't know if anyone else sees anything wrong with this bill. In terms of the 5 criteria, it's not going against the Constitution. It's not going against form, legality. I think it's good. I think we should pass it.
All right, yeah, I just want to address the point that speaking to individuals that are involved in the legislation isn't related to the 5 criteria. That is completely false. It is related to the implication of the feasibility and the success of what we want to see happen through legislation that we pass. It is directly related to the implication criteria. Saying that it's not is false. I understand, implication in this committee is the broadest of the 5 criteria that we use. It also covers a lot of things that relate to the things that happen directly after the point of implication, is to cover things that happen following the passage. If you do not speak to anyone that you are ordering to do a specific task that you have not consulted them about, I think that is a poor way to conduct the writing of a bill and the passage of something that all students do want to see done. I believe that it would be of a benefit to the student body to speak to these individuals, especially when you're ordering them without their knowledge, without them having any understanding of the steps that we would like to see taken or any plan of action for this. So I think it is a problem that we haven't spoken to any of the people that would be directly related to this, or therefore let it be ordered. I mean, this is a serious piece of legislation. Authorizations are serious. And I think not reaching out, I understand that that's a common concern because it's important. It's important that when we pass something, specifically things that order things to happen or things that prescribe duties to new positions or current positions, that we consider how this will work, how it will affect the student body. And yeah, absolutely, I think that is something that needs to be considered, and saying that it's not part of the 5 criteria, I don't understand.
I think it would also just be really unfortunate if this wasn't actually feasible, and I'm talking about not just this piece, but any authorization. And it ends up not being feasible, and then the person who it affects is now liable or gets in trouble with our student body or the UF administration.
So just like, since we're on the topic, like for future authorizations, you're saying that it should be common practice to reach out specifically whether or not they want to be, like, because the point of the ability to order someone to do it, I believe, at least I might be wrong, but I think that it's so that we can order and have agencies or have individuals within student government that we have the power to give these orders to actually do it. Because we might run into the problem where we ask and they have every capability to do it, but they don't want to.
Yeah, I think it's not whether or not they want to, it's more if it's feasible. They can say they don't want to and we can still do it, yeah. But as long as it's like the feasibility is the important part. And just having a conversation with them is big.
No, that makes sense. Obviously, like, with that in mind, we'd have to speak to them to ask what their concerns are for feasibility. But since we're talking about feasibility, like, what exactly do you think unfeasible about lobbying for mental health aides? Like, what are some issues you think they would bring up?
I mean, that's just something I want to hear from the actors. I mean, I don't know what Mason is thinking, so I don't want to answer that, but yeah.
Yeah, I do think it's important to also bring up the fact that I think everyone here is in support of the basis of this bill. That's not, when what this wants and what this is trying to accomplish is to provide more stress relief and lightening of maybe the mental burden that college places on all of us. And I think that's very important to have. And I want to make it perfectly clear that I'm sure every member in this room and every member on the committee is in support of helping students who are struggling with mental health or other stress, anxiety, things that affect a lot of students, as these statistics point out. There are a lot of things that make college challenging, and I think it's important to note that. I don't think this should fail. Thank you. You have 2 minutes of final privilege whenever you are ready.
All right, so 2 core points. Senator, first of all, implication being used as a broad form of determining anything is just a little bit surreal in this particular context. I mean, sure, passing this bill, might have the implication that I'll get struck by lightning when I leave this building, but that's no real reason to fail a bill. I have done my due diligence, and as I suggested myself, this bill does the bare minimum to ensure that the agency head has the ability to do as they wish with the topic. I'm simply ordering them to get the ball rolling. That's their job. There's no lack of feasibility here. They're already required to lobby on behalf of the student body. We're just going one step above a resolution and ordering them that they specifically focus on the issue of mental health and creating a mental health day, which is an issue that both parties support publicly and have supported for over a year. So that's number one. Number two, I want to go a little bit deeper into the feasibility side of things. We are talking about a simple conversation being had between the External Affairs Agency and student body administration. They're not going to get in trouble for not going the extra mile to get the job done. We're not requiring them that they go out and successfully achieve a mental health day. We're just asking them to get the conversation started. That's their job already. So this is well within the bounds of the Constitution. It's more than feasible. And using implication to fail this bill simply on the grounds that they haven't been contacted is just flawed. And last thing about that point there, as I've said already, there is a concept called separation of powers that keeps the two branches of government, ours and the executive, from collaborating on every single issue. We don't have to contact the executive branch every time we want to get something done. We have the constitutional authority, as it says in the last whereas clause, to issue a directive requiring a vote amongst our branch that advises, orders, or prescribes an officer to do something. That's what we're doing here. It's not unfeasible. We're asking them to do their job and specifically focus on the issue of mental health. So I yield.
All right, that is time. Are there any motions at this time?
I move to the table SSB 2024-1563 by unanimous consent.
Are there any objections? Seeing none, that motion passes. We are now, SSB 2024-1563 has been tabled. We are now in line for SSB 2024-1564. You have 5 minutes of presentation whenever you are ready.
Great. So the Student Senate in this bill is just simply asking the Student Government Executive Branch to work on the creation of pedestrian safety videos. I yield.
All right, we are now in line for 5 minutes of question and answer, beginning now.
honestly just want to hear a little bit more about the creation of this resolution, because that was a quick presentation period. If you have anything you'd like to add, you're not forced to. But...
No, I think it's pretty clear in the resolution, and of course there's also volume 2, and I don't want to waste your time.
Okay.
Are there any further questions?
There could be. We have 5 minutes of
I
Q&A.
just feel like it's kind of a waste of time to continue to let the clock run out when we have 100-something bills.
I'm aware. We're going to take our time with every bill that comes to us.
Thank you.
Which social media platforms are you envisioning? Does that include the website? Or is that Instagram, Facebook?
So once again, I want to give the executive branch the liberty to make a decision on what they deem is most appropriate. Not in the interest of micromanaging the executive branch.
Okay. All right, are there any more questions? Seeing none, we're now in line for 5 minutes of debate. Yeah, I think this is a good resolution. There's not much else to say. I think this is something that people want. I do like the surveys. I think that's... I'm assuming that the author of this legislation conducted those surveys through the Transportation Caucus. I could be wrong, but very admirable that was completed. Yeah. I do like the vagueness. I think that's a very good way of approaching these types of things in general, just to give as much leeway as possible so that we can figure out the best way of accomplishing it.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's a good bill.
Is there any more debate?
It's good.
Seeing none, we're now in line for 2 minutes of final privilege whenever you're ready.
All right, I'd like to see this passed for the sake of pedestrian safety. I yield.
All right, we're now in line for any motions at this time.
I move to pass SSB 2024-1564 by unanimous consent.
Are there any objections? Seeing none, that motion passes. Sorry, let me do this. Oops, I did that wrong. Okay, we are now in line for SSB 2024-15.
It's in there, so they say they're gonna name for record.
Oh, yes, my apologies. Any members who just walked in, please say their name for the record.
Absolutely. My name's Alfredo Ortiz. Gavin Schwinn.
All right. We are now in line for SSB 2024-1565. You have 5 minutes of presentation whenever you are ready.
All right, so this is a bill that outlines a specific duty of the executive cabinet, something that we are ordained the right to do within this chapter of the student body codes. And so what this specifically does is requires that the cabinet director of the student life division, in consultation with the executive secretary for campus safety, 2 roles that are established within the student government, specifically for the issue of pedestrian safety. For example, one of the many things that they have to worry about, of course, that they create and publish at least 2 student government-sponsored bike and e-scooter safety videos no later than the 8th week of the first fall or spring academic semester following their approval before the student senate. So I wanted to grant them, yet again, a little bit more leniency over how these videos work. Obviously, they have the right to make of it as they wish, however they want to, as long as it is a bike and e-scooter safety video published by the 8th week in collaboration with Action SG on all social media platforms. It's that simple. Once again, I want to direct it to the previous resolution that we just passed. There are numerous hundreds of pedestrian safety instances, if not thousands, on this campus every year, and we need to do our job as the student government, and specifically the executive cabinet of campus safety and student life, they should, make sure that students are safe and publish these videos. So that was the philosophy behind this, and I hope to answer any of your questions that you have.
All right, we're now in line for 5 minutes of question and answer, beginning now.
I have a question. So in 210535, it says that the videos shall be published across all student government and social media platforms. Is that this? I mean, that's different from what you said in the resolution. So is this what you would want from all social media platforms, not just one Instagram or Facebook?
Yeah, so I think that, of course, if they go through so much work to put together these videos, it should be accessible on all platforms. Of course, it is in collaboration with Action SG, so they're not alone in making it happen, but yes, all social media platforms.
Okay.
And if the committee would like it to be more specific than that, then please feel free to amend it to make it specifically Instagram and the website or whatever you see fit, because I understand that that could be an issue, of course.
Is there a position called the Cabinet Director of the Student Life Division?
I believe so. Really, is there not?
No.
Could have sworn there was. Awkward. Hold on. Yeah, well, so look. So it says here in subsection B of 210.53.
Yes.
There's the division of student life. I guess, is there not an actual chairperson for that division of the executive cabinet?
There is a chairperson, but there's no director for the Student Life Division.
So there's no actual person in that spot. It's just kind of there.
No, it's a chair. It's a chairperson. The directors are underneath the chairperson.
Okay,
so are you
if we
referring
just
to?
change the word to chairperson, it's fine.
Yeah, I was just okay.
Yeah. I guess I was confused by the question. I thought it was
Okay.
in my mind for a second.
Have you spoken to either the chairperson of the Cabinet Student Life Division or Action SG about, or the Executive Secretary of Campus Safety about this proposal?
So once again, it's my belief under the separation of powers that I have the right to put up legislation that, orders a member of the executive branch to do something. That's our job in the codes. So no, I have not.
Is there any more question and answer? Sorry. Seeing none, we're now in line for 5 minutes of debate, beginning now.
I think that talking to them is not ordering them to do something, because yes, that is our job, like you said. But again, I think codifying something when we haven't spoken to them about whether or not it is feasible is a problem, and we don't want to make that a persistent issue.
I would just say, I understand the thought behind, reaching out to every single person in executive branch that we want to do something. But honestly, I don't see how that's feasible, to reach out to every single cabinet director, every single chairperson, with every single initiative or thing that we want them to do. Since our job is to actually, give them, to put in the codes what it is that their role entails. But I understand why we have to reach out to them, but I just don't think it's feasible for us, honestly. But with that being said, do you guys have anything against the Executive Secretary of Campus Safety having this role, having to do student scooter safety videos? Because I think that it is something that is beneficial for the student body and should be part of their role, it should be part of their responsibilities. And it's a good idea to codify it so that in the future, the next Executive Secretary of Campus Safety knows that this is something they have to do.
Do you think that the Executive Secretary of Campus Safety is the best person for the job?
I mean,
If so, how, without talking to them, would we know that? How do we not know that there isn't another person who's directly involved with something that's more correlated with this? So that this is
more correlated than campus safety. I mean, that's fair. There might be someone else, but I just, in terms of role descriptions, I feel like campus safety is not that's kind of the job, campus safety, e-scooter, bike safety. I see the correlation, but is there someone else that you think is better?
I don't know.
Transportation?
That's why I think it's invaluable to reach out and ask them these questions. That's kind of the whole point, is sometimes there are a lot of positions here in UF student government, and I try my best to know what the vast majority of them do, and I really try. But ultimately, they're the ones who know best. And I understand it might not be feasible to get a response from everyone, but an attempt to reach out, at least, that's a very fair thing to ask when we're talking about prescribing something. You know, you see what I'm trying to say here.
Yeah.
You're right, I don't think this should fail. I think this is a good idea, but I do want to at least have a conversation or attempt to have a conversation with the individuals that are involved in this legislation.
Yeah, and I'd still like to point out that I think this is getting confused that, yes, this is still a separation of powers, even though you're speaking to them about it. It's really just to have a conversation and see if it's really feasible. It's not like asking for their permission. But yeah, I don't want that to be confused. So.
Yeah, we have the authority to create laws like this. That is correct. And we have the ability, if someone denies something that we believe is in the best interest of the students and we want to pass that legislation, that is our prerogative. But I think it's a poor way of conducting ourselves to do so without the conversation.
I mean, I understand that, and that's fair. But I think that if we're all in agreement that even if they say, no, I don't want to do this, like we reach out and they're like, I don't want to do those videos, we still have the power to be like, no, you should do these videos, we're going to pass this code, then what was the point of asking them?
The point was to make sure it's feasible and, again, like, not that they don't want to do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
We do. We can't order them to do it, but
Yeah.
just to hear from their perspective as the one who's sitting in that role.
Yeah, and I mean, the point is to be a cohesive student government. There will be times, I'm sure, where you reach out, they disagree with us, and we have disagreements.
Mm-hmm.
But to order them to do something without even speaking to them first is bound to cause a lack of cohesiveness. I understand their separation of powers. That's not a foreign concept to me. But at the same time, in order to function and to be kind to each other and to do things that are for the benefits of the student body, that we have to at least try to have the conversation. If we can't, that's one thing, but we have to try. That's the important part.
All right. Thank you for clarifying.
Is there any more debate? Seeing none, we're now in line for 2 minutes of final privilege whenever you are ready.
So once again, I'm going to reiterate, and actually I'm glad the chair agrees with me on this. We do have the power to pass legislation like this that directs specific officials within student government to do something without asking. And although I disagree with the chair's perspective that it's improper to do without asking, it is a distinct privilege of our student government to do this. We've done it so many times. Every single code that you read before you was a directive that was created for and ordering the executive branch to do something. So all of a sudden we can't do that now, even though this is a promise and something that both parties have agreed to for, again, a year now. It's just a real shame, and it makes me question what the real reason why we can't get this passed is. Look, I really disagree with us veering so strongly away from the 5 criteria on this matter. It is the responsibility of this committee to review legislation on the content of the bill and whether the implications are so strongly to where it could cause irreprehensible damage to the student government that should not be allowed to pass. I don't see how asking, under code here, that these 2 cabinet directors in consultation with an entire agency of student government to create 2 videos once a year is going to blow the roof off of the student government because it's just so unfeasible and nobody can do it. I just think it's absurd that this is the line of logic we're using, and frankly, I think it's an excuse that's covering the reality that we can't even just get into the real substance of the bill. I'd like us to talk about the idea. I'd like us to talk about the 5 criteria. None of that's being used. And so I think failing this bill or even tabling it is just a lazy way for us to skirt past this bill because there's no real problem with the substance of the bill. It's not unfeasible. It's totally doable. We ask Action and SG to do the same thing for other issues. Why don't we do this now? So anyway, please pass the bill. There's no reason in the 5 criteria to fail it simply because we didn't reach out. And also, that's not a requirement of the
That is
student
time.
government to reach out.
That is time. All right.
Sorry, guys.
All good.
What it is.
It's fine. It's fine.
Sorry, but
Take
it
your
is.
time.
Why is it still going off? I deleted all of them. Hold on.
you to stop talking.
Listen, they wouldn't be the
Turn the
first.
volume down.
Okay. Good point.
Okay, well, now
Really
you're
trying to
counting.
be out
Oh,
less.
No, it was on timer.
I had a record 9-second presentation earlier. Did you see that? Record.
It was
Record.
impressive. It was, yeah.
I'm learning.
just turn the volume, but no, it's not gonna.
Bless you. That's not good.
Wow.
I don't know what I'm
Okay,
saying.
thanks.
I got a variety of bets, but I appreciate it.
All right.
Line for some motions.
Yep, we're now in line for any motions at this time.
I move the table SSB 2024-1565 by unanimous consent.
Are there any objections? Seeing none, that motion passes. Bill SSB 2024-1565 has been tabled. How are you doing?
Yep.
Sweet.
Okay.
Just checking, because I know there's a lot of stuff today.
I just, am I allowed to speak?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. So I'm just doing it in the format that you said, correct?
Perfect.
Also, yeah, I'm on top.
All right. We are now in line for SSB 2024-1566. You have 5 minutes of presentation whenever you are ready.
All right, so this was a goal sponsored by Student Body President John Brinkman. He had mentioned multiple times that he was interested in starting a student construction committee. Of course, former Senator Brinkman is no longer a senator, so I thought I would go ahead and do the due diligence of taking that goal and aspiration that he had mentioned once and doing the horsework to actually put it into action. So this is a bill that establishes the Student Construction Committee. It is essentially just an advisory committee for the student body president. Of course, as I'm sure you guys are all aware, the student body president, as the chair of the Student Government Executive Committee, has the ability to call meetings of the executive committee and generally use reserves for various construction projects. It's been done numerous times throughout the years. And so we want to make sure that there's the opportunity there for students to come together and advise the student body president on any matters relating to construction. Ideally those students will be, members of DCP or other construction-minded students, or maybe if they're like really inspired by construction and want to make, better for their campus, then great. They have the ability to put the people up. I'm open to any questions. I yield.
Okay, yeah. All right, we're now in line for 5 minutes of questions and answers, beginning now. It's 5:60.
To clarify, with the procedures of this committee, or I guess what exactly they are doing, so it says they would propose projects, and so how would that be implemented? Who would be the one to I don't know, say yes, have it into fruition?
So first of all, so they don't have to propose projects, as it says in 560.30. It really is a matter of just advising on construction projects. So we're not asking them to do so much work to put together a multi-million-dollar plan for building a new building or something. That would be absurd. It's really a matter of just advising the student body president where they deem fit. A couple years ago, I think it was student body president Cooper Brown had put up and approved several reserve transfers for construction here in the Wrights. That was for all kinds of new tables and equipment and electrical outlets, stuff like that. And so in that case, we just give these members the opportunity to sort of weigh in on it. Do they think that, I don't know, it could be something as simple as this table is the best choice of table for the students. You know what I'm saying? It's more of just them weighing in on projects and the finances of it and everything. I hope that answers your question.
How would this work with existing university committees? For example, the Rights Board of Managers, who does have input on things such as what's inside of the Rights Union. How would they work together? What would be different about the
Yeah,
two?
that's a great question. So the Board of Managers obviously is not controlled by student government, although I could be mistaken in saying that the members are approved by the Senate. I can't quite remember. Regardless, though, obviously their only objective is to deal with the Rights Union. Obviously, we have multiple other opportunities under our purview, including just projects anywhere on the university campus, as long as, of course, administration approves of it. So My hope and goal, and again, of course, I don't want to micromanage the executive branch here, but is just to have this sort of independent of everything else and just help the student body president in specific, because obviously they have their own agency to work on construction projects well outside the bounds of administration or any other group on this campus. So I hope that answers your question.
Okay.
Are you aware that there are student members on Land Use and Facilities Planning Committee, Historic Campus Committee, there's conservation committees?
Yes, but those are not student government committees.
Okay.
This is a student government committee, so I'm just hoping that this will help specifically student body president, especially because he specifically asked for this.
All right, are there any more questions? Seeing none, we're now in line for 5 minutes of debate. Beginning now.
I don't think that this, I don't see anything wrong with this bill, especially in terms of the 5 criteria. It's pretty much just an advisory committee that the student body president has full control over, whether or not they want to use it to its full capabilities or they just, don't want to use it that much. But it's there, it's an option, it's codified. It's something that a future student body president could use if they wish or not. I just think that the act of creating this committee is helpful and it makes sense, since the student body president has agency outside of the university committees that you mentioned to do construction projects or to have a say on construction projects. It makes sense that they would have a committee that could help them with those things, those roles, those projects that they might want advice on. I don't know, I don't see anything wrong with the bill.
After reading this, I still feel like I'd want a bit more clarity on their tasks as a committee, because, I'm a member on one of those committees that helps deal with construction, university committee, and they're all open to the public, and so I guess I would just want more clarity on what this committee does. I think we all agree that construction is a really big problem on UF's campus. But yeah, that's my 2 cents.
Yeah. Is there any more debate?
I just
Seeing
want to
none.
say, in terms of what you said though, I agree, but I think that the fact that the fact that it's vague is because it's up to the student body president to decide, what exactly they want this committee to serve as, the specific functions of it. This is more just the general purpose of it, but how they actually act out those roles and advisory functions is up to the student body president, is what I'm understanding.
All right, is there any more debate? Seeing none, we're now in line for 2 minutes final privilege.
So I'm just going to state once again, just to clarify things, hopefully for the committee here, of course. So the Student Body Executive Committee is the only committee that is allowed to approve allocation of reserves on this campus from the student government. So any other committees would not be able to do that, right? Now, obviously, because it's a committee within the student government and it doesn't have decision-making authority, it actually doesn't have to be open to the public, so that's not a concern, just to kind of, point direction on that one concern. Again, I'm not in the interest of micromanaging the executive branch, and so this, of course, does have a bit more generality to it, but once again, it does have a specific purpose that no other committee can have, and that is to advise the student body president on how to spend the reserves on construction projects. That's not something that the university committees can do at all. And so I just think this is a really great opportunity to, number one, move forward with an idea that President John Brinkman had and wanted to do in his term, to ensure that he has the full capability to go through with his idea. Number two, to make sure that it's in the executive branch. You know, I'm sure you might have noticed the Senate has no control over the approval of these members. So it's totally up to the student body president, which gives them a great amount of authority to decide who's advising them. And then number three, most importantly, to have a voice for students that want to voice out for or against construction projects that are being considered by the Student Government Executive Committee, which once again they cannot currently do in any setting. So I see nothing wrong with this, particularly in the 5 criteria. The implications are minimal, if any, because once again, we're not requiring them to have the committee. You know, it's really up to the student body president whether they want to actually do it. It doesn't require any new resources. There's no requirement on how many times they meet. There's no requirement on the number of members. There's no overlap of the Senate. They don't have to approve the members. I mean, there's literally nothing wrong with this bill. So please pass it. I yield, yes.
All right, we are now in line for any motions at this time.
I move to table SSB 2024-1566 by unanimous consent. I would make that by roll call vote.
All right, the motion has been remade by roll call vote. May the clerk please take roll.
Anderson,
Yes.
Henley, Kosaki, Weinberger.
Yes.
Iswasi.
No.
Bye.
Seeing as my vote will not affect the outcome, I'm abstaining from this vote. In a vote of
3-1-1.
That's so much.
in a vote of 4 to 1 to 1, that motion passes. SSB 2024-1566 has been tabled. I'm really sorry to ask this, but there's a family emergency right now. Can someone, do I hear a motion to recess until called back by the chair by unanimous consent? Thank you. Sorry. I call this meeting back to order at 3:41 p.m. on Sunday, September 1st. And members of the committee, please state their name for the record.
Jackson Renson.
Oh yeah.
Nora Kosaki. Daniel Weinberger.
Elizabeth Iswasi.
Aaron Rubai is chair.
Josh Friedashe, clerk.
And any other members of the public, please state your name for the record.
Julia Cipher.
Sarah Hoffer.
Anna Castelli.
Nathaniel Clinton.
Is that everyone? Oh, yeah, we're down a few people. All right. With 6 members present, quorum has been established. We are now in line for SSB 2024-1567. You have 5 minutes of presentation whenever you are ready.
So because we just got back and there's been some new people in the room, I'm going to restate a portion of the statement I gave before. My primary goal in drafting these bills has been to serve the best interests of our student body. I'm dedicated to upholding the promises made by all groups, incorporating goals from both major political parties, and creating original legislation to address these concepts and advance our campus. While the general goals of both Vision Party Caucus and Change Party Caucus inspired some of my legislation, no intellectual property was manipulated, and all legislation is my own, researched by me, written by me, and submitted by me. I give credit for the goals and ideas achieved through my original legislative work to both the Vision Party Caucus and Change Party Caucuses. I'm committed to working with all parties involved to ensure that our student government maintains high standards of accountability and professionalism, and that proper attribution is provided. Thank you. All right, so this is the Student Employment Opportunity Act, Volume 1. It is a resolution specifically advocating for a local employment fair. There are a lot of students on this campus that almost require employment or like internship opportunities, things like that, to get by, particularly in my mind, like engineers really need something like that. So I thought it'd be cool for the executive branch to work on having some sort of a local employment fair to offer job opportunities to those specific students. So I'm going to yield the rein right time.
All right, we're now in line for 5 minutes of question and answer, beginning now.
Would this be like in addition to the current like career fairs and the part-time fairs that they already have through the Career Connection Center?
Yeah, so I just want the student government to get a little bit more involved with the process because the executive branch is, of course, responsible for the needs of our students. And so while the Career Connection Center certainly does have a few sort of local employment and fairs that they have every once in a while, I just like the student government to have a more direct hand, maybe even host one of their own if possible. So this is just, again, advocating for something along those lines.
All right. There are currently career fairs put on by the Career Connections Center, correct?
Yes, as I said before, I do know that there are those, but I want the student government to get involved and collaborate, as it says in the second to last whereas clause.
All right.
And of course, the last one is important too, because it's encouraging the student body to get involved too.
Mm-hmm. Are there any more questions? Seeing none, we're now in line for 5 minutes of debate.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see anything wrong with it. I think it's good to have more fairs, more encouragement from student government to go to these fairs. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the only things I would say, I think, I mean, career, like employment fairs, career fairs, all of them are very important. I've been to several, and they're very nice. The University of Florida has some amazing ones that I've been to. You all right?
Yeah. Sorry, wrong pipe.
Okay. What I will say, there are two things with this resolution in particular that I think should be addressed. Firstly, the word directs in the second, therefore let it further be resolved clause. We have stayed away from language such as directs in resolutions previously, and I think it's fair to uphold that precedent and replace it with just another adjective such as the one below, that encourages, advocates, supports. We've talked about this before. So also, the only thing that I want to kind of figure out is whether this wants the establishment of a career fair or it wants to establish collaboration on an existing career fair, because those are two different things. And I think either one of them are fine. I think having both in there is slightly confusing from a clarity standpoint. So, like, if it's a creation of a student government specific one, that's very different from collaboration between an existing career fair held by the Career Connection Center and student government. So I do think we should clarify that. I'm not sure the best way to do so in the resolution, but if there are any suggestions, I think that would be great.
I see where you're coming from, but I think the wording of like the creation of a local employment fair means like the creation of an additional one. It's not like collaborating with the current one. That's what I understand from reading it.
Is there any more debate? Seeing none, 2 minutes of final privilege.
All right, let me clear this up so there's no more confusion. First of all, I appreciate you catching the directs. Obviously, I agree. We'll refrain from that, so if you could just change it to advocates, that'd be great. Thank you. So, yeah, I want the creation of a career fair that's hosted by student government. Let me just be very clear on that. When I mean collaborate, I mean that I want the student government to collaborate with the Career Connection Center to make sure that it's not interfering with their own fairs, and if they can help with ours, that would be great too. So that's what it means by collaborating in the second to last whereas clause. But just to be clear, as it says in the title, and of course the first, therefore let it be resolved clause, we're asking for the creation of an employment fair. I think it's very important that we do this as a student government for a couple of reasons. Number one, the Career Connections Center, I love the fairs that they put on. They are specifically tailored to specific majors, and so some majors may be left out. And I think that, you know, it would be great for student government if they can, of course, at all. We're not, once again, micromanaging them and telling them what to do. It'd be great if they could try to, bring in some employers that might not already have been brought in for specific majors that aren't covered by the Career Connection Center. But anyway, I digress. I'm not going to go further into it. It's just, I think we all agree local employment fair is great. Why not advocate for student government to do it? If they choose not to, it's a resolution. They don't have to. So I yield.
All right, we're now in line for any motions at this time.
I move to pass SSB 2024-1567.
You can you can continue. I can't say anything yet, so.
Unanimous consent. Oh wait, sorry. Can I rescind? I move to amend SSB 2024-1567 to take out directs and change it to
Supports.
Supports.
So it's a different every clause.
Supports.
Yeah. No, that doesn't make sense grammatically.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Suggests, maybe? Just put in suggest. Suggest that.
Alright, to amend, directs to suggest that.
Okay.
No.
Suggest.
I lay the committee at rest.
Yeah. thank you.
Continue, yeah.
Have it say Student Senate suggests that the Student Government Executive Branch get rid of the word
Collaborates.
to and then add an S to the end of collaborate. And then, sorry, that's a lot of nonsense.
Alright, I move to amend SSB 2024-1567 to say the University of Florida Student Senate suggests that Student Government Executive Branch collaborates with the Career Connection Center.
Wait, I actually, shoot. I call the meeting back to order just to say, do I hear a motion to remake the motion made while the committee was laid at rest by unanimous consent? Any objections? Seeing none, the motion passes. We're now in line for a vote on the previous motion that was made. Are there any objections? Seeing none, the motion passes. The bill has been amended. Are there any other motions at this time?
I move to pass SSB 2024-1567 by unanimous consent.
Are there any objections? Seeing none, that motion passes. All right. Yeah, I lay the committee at rest for just a second. So I plan on going up until, let's do another 1, 2, 3, whatever number of bills. Do the ASOEs, then come back. I'm going to make the necessary corrections, so we can do that. Usually, and what's supposed to happen is that all nominations are heard first. However, in this case, we were unable to do that. So we can do however long we feel is appropriate, but we should be switching over to those soon, and then we can switch back as soon as we're done. Everyone good with that? Awesome. Okay, I call the meeting back to order. We are now in line for SSB 2024-1568. You have 5 minutes to present whenever you are ready.
All right, so just for the sake of time, this is very similar to a previous bill we heard, so I'm not going to go too in depth with it because the arguments have already been made. I know that there are certain members of the committee that disagree with the standing of this bill, so let's just try to get through it as quick as possible. So basically, this is just, again, codifying that the executive cabinet executes one local employment fair each fall and spring semester in collaboration with the Career Connection Center. Similar to the previous bill, just codifies it. I don't really personally see issues with implication, just because, once again, these are the student body codes. We have the authority to direct the executive branch to do whatever we wish. And this should not be that much of a challenge since there are 24 cabinet heads. I really fear that if we can't get something like this done once a semester, I don't really know what else we can do as a student government. So I'm going to yield the remaining of my time.
All right, we're now in line for 5 minutes of questions and answers, beginning now. I forgot to ask some questions at the last bill. I'm just going to go super quickly. Do you envision an event like this? I know you left it vague intentionally. Do you envision it being for all majors or a specific major, or is that just up to the interpretation of the executive cabinet?
So obviously, because of anti-discrimination law, we actually cannot make it specific.
That's what I thought.
To the major.
Yeah.
So it's going to be for anybody, graduate, undergraduate, any major.
Okay. Got it.
And obviously, I assume the student government would follow.
Yeah.
I have no reason to believe otherwise.
All right. Are there any more questions? Seeing none, we're now in line for 5 minutes of debate beginning now. Is there any debate?
I mean, the same precedent of speaking to the cabinet about this is what I have to say. I don't want to sound redundant, but
And just for clarity, is there a specific
or even speaking with the Career Connections Center about whether or not what they can help out. Just some communication.
Is there any more debate? Seeing none, we're now in line for 2 minutes final privilege. Whenever you're ready.
All right, so once again, communication is not a responsibility of the Student Senate. I believe firmly that it is our responsibility to put our best foot forward for the student body, and that is to codify an employment fair. I think it'd be a great opportunity for students, but of course I see that the committee is moving in a different direction, which I think is very disappointing. I once again will advocate as a final Hail Mary shot here. I think it's really important that we have local employment fairs. This will get it done. Failing it will prevent us from doing it. So, yeah, do what you will with that information, but I ask you to pass it out.
All right, we're now in line for any motions at this time.
I move to table SSB 2024-1568 by unanimous consent.
Are there any objections? Seeing none, that motion passes. We are now in line for SSB 2024-1569. You have 5 minutes to present whenever you're ready.
Yes, so this is the Student Government Calendar Act. This is, of course, just creating, and again, something that has been discussed by both parties for a very long time, making sure that students are given access to, all the events that are going on in Student Senate. We've seen it through various bills submitted previously. So this is just creating and maintaining a student government digital calendar that has all of the upcoming student government sponsored events on it. It's going to be run by Action SG. Of course, it's their responsibility to coordinate with the executive branch and the student body to make them aware of what's going on in student government. So I see nothing wrong with adding this. And yeah, I'm open to questions.
All right, we are now in line for 5 minutes of Q&A, beginning now. Okay, I'm gonna ask a question then. I feel like there should be at least a couple of questions for a bill. I think it's important. So for this states that's going to be accessible to all students, digital calendar. You didn't specify where, and I wanted to ask, just again, would this be in, because I'm assuming this would be in one or multiple places, but I wanted to know what you were envisioning when you wrote this bill to be accessible to the student body.
Yeah, so once again, obviously it's going to be kind of like a buzzword phrase here, but I'm not in the interest of micromanaging the executive branch. Micromanaging, wow, I can't get that word. So I want them to have the ability to do what they think is right. Obviously, I envision personally that it goes on the student government website, just kind of front and center with all the events. But again, they have the right to do whatever they want with that.
Okay.
Just as long as there's something that's accessible to all students. So if that means a separate webpage, sure.
Okay. Yeah, does Action SG have the ability to alter the student government website?
Well, presumably they can reach out to Student Government Advising, who does have the ability to do that. They're already responsible for posting on social media and stuff, which of course they have to go through SJO to at least get the access to the social media page for. So I wouldn't assume it would complicate anything there. But yeah. But again, of course, I didn't outline the Student Government website as being a requirement. So if that becomes a problem, they have more than enough agency and ability to create a web page of their own or put it somewhere else. Literally, they could just create a Google calendar that's shared to the student body if they wanted to.
All right, are there any more questions? Seeing none, we're now in line for 5 minutes of debate.
I think this could go a lot of ways. I think it's a good idea, but again, hearing from Action SG and hearing how it could be implemented, I think could be really useful before we codify this.
Is there any more debate?
No, it's just that, I just think that given the fact that their responsibilities are so closely aligned already to dealing with the website and social media, obviously I know we have to reach out to them, but I'm just saying I don't see anything stopping them from doing it, so hopefully it all works out.
Okay, seeing no more debate, we're now in line for 2 minutes final privilege. Whenever you're ready.
So once again, I really want to dispel with this notion that we should just be tabling bills because communication was not had. This is something that both parties have been working towards for months. They've been advocating for it for over a year. Both parties, including the one that currently runs the executive branch, and of course Action SG. So I think by tabling this bill or failing it, we're doing a disservice to the student body and preventing them from getting access to when upcoming student government sponsored events are happening. So I'm gonna, once again, yield the remainder of my time.
Okay, We are now in line for any motions this time. Are there any motions?
I move to table SSB 2024-1569 by unanimous consent.
Are there any objections? Seeing none, that motion passes. We are now in line for SSB 2024-1570. You have 5 minutes to present whenever you are ready.
Okay, this is a bit of a bigger one. So this is a diversity pledge. So effectively, this will be signed by every officer of the Student Senate, member of the student government, I should say, in order to, once again, foster a more inclusive and equitable student government. I've outlined a few definitions, as you can see there. And the actual pledge will read as, I, name, do solemnly pledge. I'm not going to read the whole thing, actually, because it's just way too long. But I encourage you to read it. And, you know, of course, in case a student government official is, you know, alleged to be in violation of the pledge that they signed when they enter student government, then, you know, appropriate sanctions as it's outlined in 108.4 can be brought against that individual by the Student Senate. But of course, once again, I'm not trying to micromanage anyone. So the rules and procedures can be written however the Senate chooses to outline what that would look like, what a sanction would look like. So yeah, I yield the remainder of my time.
Are there any questions? 5 minutes of Q&A meeting now.
Are there any other, like, do we have to comply with, are the pledges that student government officials have to take completely under our jurisdiction, or does the university have any say in, like, what our pledges are?
So, I mean, we, you know, obviously we operate as a subsection of the state government, which is kind of crazy to think about. So, I mean, we kind of have the authority to do whatever we want, as crazy as that sounds. So no, this is not like a directive of the university or anything. This is just something that we're doing on our own because we have the agency to create a rule like this.
Are there any more questions? Seeing none, we're now in line for 5 minutes of debate beginning now.
Do you know any complications with this? I'm not super familiar about punitive actions for taking or not taking pledges.
Okay, so yeah. I'm going to try and speak quickly, but yes. I am concerned primarily that student government members must sign. So a signature here is speech. And it's not coerced, that's a bad word. Compelled speech in this instance. I'm not sure of the legal boundaries here. Similarly to the Pledge of Allegiance, we cannot compel that an individual states that. And I understand, and personally, I agree with the pledge, but I do think we're walking into dangerous territory in terms of First Amendment rights, especially when we're saying that people must sign something because that is speech. Even if it's a pledge on paper, the signature, especially the compulsion to sign it based on this law, I do believe this warrants at least, like, I don't personally know of the entire First Amendment case law surrounding this, particularly within government, because that does change between, for example, a private company and government along the lines of what can be enforced, similarly to an employment contract. But I do think this definitely needs to be looked at to make sure we're not breaching any First Amendment rights for any senators or student government officials.
I mean, I understand that concern, but at the same time, if a student government official wants to be a part of student government, we're not forcing them to be a part of student government, and having this as a requirement to participate is they have to sign this pledge because everyone is in agreement that diversity and inclusion is important. I don't see anything wrong with having it as a requirement to participate, but if you think that it's going against First Amendment rights, then are there no other pledges that student government officials have to sign, or anything that they have to comply with in order to participate in Senate?
I'm not sure if it differentiates between signing, first of all, like an oath of office, how that differentiates itself.
I know we have like eligibility checks that we have to sign and check the box that what we stated, the information is factually correct.
Right.
Yeah, that doesn't apply here.
But I don't know what First Amendment restraints are surrounding this, like must sign, forcing someone to sign this statement to
Yeah.
join student government. I don't know what legal surroundings follow with that.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's complicated. I mean, think of it as employment. Saying that, say you're a public company, say you're a government entity even, and you're working for them, You're saying, yes, you can work here, but you have to say this. I mean, it's the same thing as speech, so I'm going to use that language here. That's tricky, and I don't know where the line is drawn, and I don't want to. I mean, this is a serious constitutionality and legality implications here. We had a similar bill. It wasn't similar, but similar concern with a bill that was proposed, I believe, over summer by Senator Emeritus Monson, and it covered diversity training for the purposes of the Student Senate, and we encountered very quickly that was actually illegal to be required as an element of employment in the state of Florida specifically. It's not a federal thing that just passed in the Florida legislature. But I do think this definitely, I mean, this is something that could really be a problem for not only student government, but the university itself. And this is something that I really think we should at least find case law that either supports or goes against this. If there isn't, that's one thing. But, I mean, and I'm sure you can respond in final privilege if you believe that there is any case law specifically that would allow for the creation of a mandatory statement such as this. But yes, so yeah, but
I get it, I understand.
yeah, I'm not saying I disagree with the fact that that I would personally say this because I would. It's just tricky to figure out if this could be enforced or not.
I just wonder, in terms of to try to find solutions, right? Like in my head, we do require oaths of office, right? And if that is perhaps a way to circumvent the having to require people sign in terms of legality, right? Because it's not that we don't believe everyone in student government should apply by this pledge. That's not what we're saying here. We're saying is we don't want to come into legal concerns because we're requiring people to sign something. Ideally, I think we all agree that student government officials should have faith in this pledge or believe in it. So we could find a way.
That is time.
All right.
All right, you have 2 minutes of final privilege whenever you are ready.
Okay, so I'm going to address a lot of the flaw logic in a lot of the argumentation that we just had. First of all, this is compelled speech, so I will just make that very clear. That's what this is. We are compelling speech, so let's just get that out of the way. First of all, compelled speech is perfectly legal as a requirement to enter into the state government. We already do it with the oath of office. I want to make it very clear. Signing something is the same as making a verbal pledge. It's all speech. And so compelled speech is perfectly legal. We already do it as student government. It's been confirmed by the state government, by various judicial tribunals. It's already something we do. We can do this. It's perfectly legal. Number two, I want to address the private sector comparisons. Absolutely, we have compelled speech in the private sectors. Every time you join a job, you sign an NDA, which requires you to not speak on various issues of intellectual property, etc. So yes, there are restrictions on speech per the private sector. So if we want to use a comparison, it's well within the grounds of this bill. Third, I want to talk about the reasoning that was brought forward by the chair about why previous bills have been failed discussing speech. The bill that was previously failed on diversity training was specifically failed because there was a state law specifically related, whatever it was. It wasn't passed. It was passed.
It was passed.
But you were talking about compulsory training. That was taken out of the bill.
Yeah, it was made optional.
Exactly. So, right, it was made optional because compulsory training is legal per state law. It's something very specifically that was passed under the DeSantis administration to prevent compulsory diversity training. That's not what this is. Those two bills are completely different. And so it's not good to consider this in the context of the previous bill. This is compelled speech requiring members to sign a pledge that says that we all respect the diversity of others and will ensure to challenge bias as we are members of student government. It's compelled speech that's perfectly legal because we already require the oath of office. As I stated, it's been upheld by various courts here in the the state of Florida. And as I said before, there are plenty of comparisons to the private sector where this is also legal, just because that was brought up. So, no reason to fail this, and I yield the remainder of my time. Oh, God. Over here.
Sorry. It just disappeared. Find it. Okay.
All right, we're now in line for any motions at this time.
I move to table SSB 2024-1570 by unanimous consent.
I object.
I remake that motion by roll call vote.
All right, may the clerk please take roll.
Ransom.
Yes.
Henley.
Yes.
Gosford. Bonberger.
Yes, sorry.
No.
Exhausted. Goodbye.
Seeing as my vote does not affect the outcome, I will abstain from this vote. In a vote of 4 to 1 to 1, that motion passes. SSB 2024-1570 has been tabled. Sorry, excuse my language. Okay, we are now in line for SSB, and I'm going to encourage us to do this one. Is there one more after, for example, or because I'm going to move over to?
Well, we still have a little less than 2 hours, so I expect us to be able to come back to bills.
Absolutely, yes.
So
I need
just
to
this
do
one and then one.
legislation too, please.
What was that?
I have to leave, and I would like to speak on my legislation too. So
I think
you can hear
if-
ASOEs.
So if we can do this one, then the ASOEs, and then your legislation, and then move on with whatever's next in mine, that would be great.
Sounds great.
Cool.
Glad everyone's in agreement. Okay, we are now in line for. Are you FERPA trained? Sorry.
Yes.
Oh, I lay the committee at rest really quickly. Okay. I might be able to, if.
What's the issue?
So I hear a motion to recess until called back by the chair by unanimous consent.
So moved.
Any objections? Seeing none, that motion passes. I call this meeting back to order at 4:12 p.m. on Sunday, September 1st. We are now in line for. Do I hear a motion to waive the roll call by unanimous consent? Any objections? Seeing none, that motion passes. All the same people are still here. Okay. We're now in line for SSB 2024-1571. You have 5 minutes of presentation whenever you are ready.
All right, this bill, I feel, is a bit of a slam dunk for the student body. This, believe it or not, has actually been something that has been proposed by both parties, as well as the former Gator Party, believe it or not, all the way back in the day. So it's good that we're finally getting to work and getting it done. So I just want to first attribute the sort of original goal of this bill to Gator Party, shout out, as well as both Vision and Change, for just continuing to advocate for it. And of course, I wrote all of the language here myself, so it's all original. It's my bill, but I just want to make sure that that's fair and that it's out there. So this bill, of course, is one of 2 volumes. The other volume is, of course, pending the response of the Student Government Executive Committee, if they're ever to get back to me. But this is just a resolution that is advocating for the rebuilding of construction, the rebuilding and construction of the tables with overhangs that you might have seen over by the hub. So they've been dilapidated for some years. You can see the roof of them is caving in. The chairs have been taken out in some spots. They are just disgusting. And I don't even think that the actual electrical outlets work at those tables. So I put up a reserve transfer, as well as this bill, that does it. It gets the job done. It allocates funding to the construction, UF Director of Construction, to move forward with the construction of new tables and overhangs with electrical outlets. Of course, this is not an actual bill that mandates any action. This is just a resolution advocating for it. And so I strongly recommend your consideration of the bill, and of course, I'm here to answer any questions. I will.
All right, we're now in line for 5 minutes of questions and answers. Beginning now.
I saw my first class that was taken outside. Do you have any insight on how useful that is, or how many teachers have employed at the university? Like moving the lecture a little bit?
So, I mean, I'm aware that some, I guess, professors do outdoor lectures, and I would hope that this is something that's used for that. But the main priority here is, of course, for any students hoping to study outside, just period. So any reference that I have here to, the outdoor learning experience, it's not just lectures, it's also, of course, just anyone wanting to go. If you're an online student, you can view your lectures online at the table, any case like that. But I appreciate the question. I do just want to clarify as well, this is not even endorsing the reserve transfer.
Yeah.
So I want to make that clear.
Yes.
Simply.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you're good. So, was this reserve transfer 2021-1031? Sorry, I wasn't here for that. But was that used then
For the tables?
for any of what it was appropriated for?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you probably have seen the infrastructure that was built outside of the Rights Union.
Okay.
Like the new swinging chair and all that other stuff outside.
Okay.
As far as if my knowledge is correct, and I believe it is, that was all funded by that allocation in 2021.
Okay. is the official name of the North Lawn or the Rights Union North Lawn? Sorry, this is just nitpicky. I just wanted
It's
to
fine.
ask. Yeah.
I mean, I guess I don't know what the official name is. I just know that it's the North Lawn.
Okay.
But it's just, of course, referring to the general location of where they are. And the hub is probably a more accurate location to describe where they are.
Okay. Are there any more questions? Seeing none, we are now in line for 5 minutes of debate. Yeah. I mean, this has a natural progression of the benefits. The whereas clauses go in order in a way that I like a lot. I think it's very prudent. I'm also a fan of the use of old legislation as a means to support a current position. I was not aware of that. I wasn't at the University of Florida yet, but still very, very interesting. Aside from the fact that I don't know if that's the official name, and I don't know if that really matters to the author or not. If it doesn't, not a big deal. If we want to specify anything about that, we can. But I do like the resolution itself. And I like the proviso. Any more debate?
No, I agree. I agree with you.
All right. Any more debate? Seeing none, we're now in line for 2 minutes final privilege.
Actually, just give me 1 second. I do want to make an amendment to this bill. Just
Okay.
1
Yeah, you can
second.
begin whenever you're ready, so.
Cool. I'm not gonna take long.
While we're waiting, just really quickly, what time is everyone good to stay until? Okay. When is everyone else leaving?
I can stay.
Whenever.
Okay.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'm good.
So for
You good? Okay. Cool. That's good to know.
Am I allowed to eat my hummus cup?
Absolutely. I don't get to.
Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and get started
Can
here. So,
you hit the down arrow on the AC real quick? Hit it twice. If it says -2, we're okay. Great. The room just doesn't have AC. It's fine. Okay. Yeah, you're good.
That's really cool.
Huh?
Bummer when a room doesn't have
Yeah.
AC.
Dude, imagine not being able to fix your bedroom AC. That's crazy.
Sounds personal.
okay. There we go. Okay.
Okay.
Good?
Yep.
Okay, so obviously I think that this is a very important initiative, and you know, I am very hopeful to see it pass. So 2 things I want to, one thing I want to make a change here, because I made a mistake. I was writing a lot of my allocation of reserve bills all at the same time, so I got a lot of things mixed up. One of my other bills is about bus infrastructure, and so when I was like copying the other one to use as sort of my template for this one, I accidentally left UF Transportation and Parking Services Director in the proviso. So I'd like to strike that, and then I'd like to change it to University of Florida Director of Construction, Frank Javahari, or Javahari, something like that. I can give the spelling if you want me to. I'll do it now, actually. So it's
wait.
Frank.
I'll let you make that motion.
I can't.
Well, no, I'll let you. Someone can make a motion to amend, and then you can say the name.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, so just want to make sure it's going to the right people. You know, I have to say that I do respect the concerns in the past about provisos being like 20 pages long. So want to keep it minimal, but I also want to make it accurate. Other than that, just the North Lawn being left the way this is fine. I think people know what we mean by it for the most part. And then, yeah, I just hope to see it pass. I mean, it's very important that we fix that infrastructure. It's been dilapidated for years. So I yield.
All right. Are there any motions at this time?
Yes, I move to amend SSB 2024-1571, specifically the proviso to say registrant.
Yes. Yeah. The name that will be spoken by Senator Pelton or
The name.
Okay, yeah, so we're striking out the TAPS director and we're inserting the University of Florida Director of Construction, Frank Javahari. So Javaheri.
Can you repeat that really quickly?
Yeah, so it's Javaheri. And the first name's Frank.
Okay. UF Director of Construction, Frank Javahari.
Yeah.
Okay. Bye.
Yeah.
Are there any objections? Seeing none, the motion passes. Are there any more motions at this time?
I move to pass SSB By unanimous consent.
Are there any objections? Seeing none, that motion passes. Do I hear a motion to recess until called back by the chair by unanimous consent?
So moved.
Any objections? Seeing none, that motion passes. Call this meeting back to order at 4:39 p.m. on Sunday, September 1st. Do I hear? Oh, there's different. Okay. May everyone on the committee please say their name for the record?
Jackson Ransom.
Aaliyah Hunley.
Norval Sarkey. Daniel Weinberger.
Elizabeth Fitzwasty.
Aaron Rubai is chairman.
Joshua Sheckberg.
And may any other members of the public please state their name for the record?
Julia Cipher.
Nathaniel Pelton.
All right, let's get back to business. Do I hear a motion to move into the consideration of SSB 2024-1690 by unanimous consent?
So moved.
Are there any objections? Seeing none, that motion passes. You have 5 minutes of presentation whenever you are ready.
Yeah, so I want you guys to just read through the entirety of the bill because it explains this pretty well. But basically, the University of Florida's health system has negotiations with United Healthcare. That sets up a deal, and people who get their health insurance through the school, get it through United Healthcare. There was an issue with United Healthcare and UF Health's negotiations because the agreement was up, and so it was time to renegotiate. But because there's been a stalling in the renegotiating, there's going to be perhaps a period of time in which people who have UF's health insurance through United Healthcare are unable to receive their health insurance benefits, which is not necessarily the fairest. So this is just a resolution advocating for timely negotiations between UF Health and United Healthcare, just taking a stand and hoping to mitigate that issue, even though we don't really have direct control in their negotiations. I waive the rest of my time.
All right, we're now in line for 5 minutes of questions and answers, beginning now. So this will affect students, faculty, graduate students, anyone with UF Health's policies for healthcare?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, big issue.
Has a statement been released?
Yes, if you go to the links, there is one link that has their statement. Let me find which one it is. There is a statement, but the Alligator article covers it pretty well as well.
Okay. Are there any more questions? Seeing none, we're now in line for 5 minutes of debate. Is there any debate?
Oh, I have a question. Well, I just want to be a sponsor, but I'll just...
That's fine,
I'll
I'm
just
sure.
add myself on it. I
Yeah.
like this bill.
In the fourth whereas clause, can you add a and? Sorry.
There's also it looks like a grammatical mistake in the first whereas clause that we need to amend. Just specialty. It says speciality, but I don't think that's how you... Anyway, we could fix that pretty
You're
easily.
right, you're right.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I didn't even know. I didn't know this was happening. This is something good to write out.
This was September 1st.
Wow, it's today.
Starting September 1st, I can't speak.
Yeah, you can. Sorry. Okay. Any more debate? Seeing none, we're now in line for 2 minutes final privilege.
Yeah, so starting September 1st, if a negotiation wasn't reached, anyone on this insurance would no longer be able to receive their United Healthcare. So, big issue. It's like a timely matter of passing, which is why this is being submitted now. I waive the rest of my time.
All right, are there any motions at this time?
I move to amend SSB 2024-1690 in the first whereas clause to replace speciality with specialty, and also to add myself to the sponsor line with Health Caucus Chair
Okay.
Not just senator.
Okay.
Really good.
Bye.
Really good. Like,
Were you pointing at something?
Oh, I was just hoping to be added.
Yeah, we'll make another. We'll make another motion.
Oh, by unanimous consent.
Are there any objections? Seeing none, that motion passes. Do I hear a motion to amend SSB 2024-1690 to add the word "and" in the fourth at the end of the fourth whereas clause, and to also include the following names on the sponsors line: Judiciary Chairman Aaron Rubai, and anyone else, please state your name.
Jackson Ranson.
Aaliyah Hemley.
Elizabeth and Westing.
Nathaniel Pelton.
Sarah Hoffer.
Cool. By unanimous consent.
Am I responsible?
no.
So moved.
Are there any objections?
I was
Seeing
waiting.
none, that
I was
motion
waiting.
passes. I'm going to make sure Health Caucus Chair Danny Weinberger is first. Or Daniel.
Daniel, it's gonna be.
After my two, are we doing the ASOE stuff?
Yes, I'm going to do. You should also do Sakith and Bias, but
Oh yeah.
yeah. Okay, are there any more motions at this time?
I move to pass SSB 2024-1690 by unanimous consent.
Are there any objections? Seeing none, that motion passes. We are now in line for SSB 2024-1691. You have 5 minutes to present whenever you are ready.
Yes. So this is a pretty straightforward resolution. I also highly encourage you to read it because it has some research in it that you may or may not be aware of given like when you got to UF. I don't know, this is all relatively new. But basically, so previously I can just give like the history of this. There was the Newell Library was established as like the 24/7 study space. And then it switched over to the Marston Science Library, and then in like a 1-year pilot program, basically, where they would take statistics and look at the data and decide whether they I guess they specifically was previous provost Joe Glover, but now we have a new provost, and so basically to decide whether like the funding decisions would be able to continue to fund a 24/7 Marston Science Library. And then based on their data, I guess at the beginning of August, they reduced their hours of operation. And then through meetings with the different people in the executive branch and just voicing student concerns, eventually the provost agreed to do a 24/5 Marston. So that would mean that Fridays and Saturdays were not open for the full 24 hours, but the rest of the days of the week were. And so this is just thanking the provost, Scott Engel, for coming to this decision. I yield the rest of my time.
All right, we're now in line for 5 minutes of Q&A. Right now, yeah.
I have a question. So the data that determined the reducing of hours originally was given by Marston, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming they use like people counters or something, but yeah, Marston had access to the data probably.
And that was data that was shared with the provost, right?
I don't want to give you a wrong answer, but
Very good.
I'm assuming since it would be the provost that's making the decision.
Not that big a deal, but would you be okay with amending the title to 24/5 Marston? Just because I know that it could be a little misleading if we're, because I understand that a lot of students are still disappointed with 24/5, and so saying thank you for 24-hour Marston, my concern is that they might think that 24/7 Marston's back or whatever, just for clarity, in my opinion.
I mean, it is true that it is a 24-hour Marston on particular days of the week. I think, like, for the most part, students have gotten word that it's, students who are active in using Marston have gotten the word that it's 24/5. You know, maybe that can encourage people to read through this legislation and understand, like, the nuances of how exactly that came to be, and read a little bit into the data. So, I personally like my title. Don't know anyone else's thoughts.
Sorry, I'm just checking the sources.
Okay.
Are there any more questions? Seeing none, we're now on line 4, 5 minutes of debate. Beginning now. Is there any debate?
It's not really debate, but I'd like to add myself because I know I signed that paper, but I don't see my name on here. So.
Yeah, I think something like this needed to be written. This is something that affects all students, and the developments recently.
It was on the side.
I think are important and we needed to mention that in legislation. So I'm glad that this was written. I do think it goes over the history of the library, which is something that is beneficial for all those who are interested in learning about what's going on. So yeah, I'm a fan of this resolution on the sponsors line. I'm excited to have 24/5 back
Yeah.
because, yeah.
I hope students take advantage and read this. I think it's really well written and has a lot of good information on it.
Is there any more debate? Seeing none, we're now in line for final privilege. Whenever you're ready, 2 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, thank you guys for that debate. You know, I think that it's a good thing to just keep students informed and updated on what's continuing to happen with the rest of my time.
Do I hear a motion to amend SSP 2024-1691 to change the word resolution in the first line of the bill to bill? Just to keep with formatting stuff, correct?
So moved.
By unanimous consent. Are there any objections? Seeing none, that motion
I don't
passed.
know why it says that.
The top line. Yeah.
It's technically allowed.
It is allowed, we've just never done
No, I
it.
agree with you. That was an
I think,
accident.
yeah.
Sure.
This was written out an incredible time.
Okay, yeah. And I just
I
want
was gonna,
yep.
okay, I move to amend the sponsors line to include Senator Lee Hunley by unanimous consent.
Anyone else? No. Okay. Are there any objections? Seeing none, that motion passes. All right. Are there any other motions at this time?
I move to pass SSB 2024-1691 by unanimous consent.
I
Ooh.
object.
I remake that motion by roll call.
All right. That motion has been remade by roll call vote. May the clerk please take roll.
Hanson,
Yes.
Henley,
Yes.
Osirki,
Yes.
Weinberger,
Yes.
and Swasti.
No.
Goodbye.
Seeing as my vote will not affect the outcome, I will abstain from voting on this matter. In a vote of 4 to 1 to 1, that motion passes. Okay. We are now in line for SSB 2024-1692. Yes. Okay. Seeing as you are a sponsor, you have 5 minutes whenever you are ready.
Okay, I mean, I'm not exactly sure that I should be the person speaking on this piece of legislation, but I do know that Unum is an important cultural and spiritual festival type of holiday, and passing this resolution is time sensitive to the beginning of this holiday. I waive the rest of my time.
All right. We are now in line for 5 minutes of question and answer. Beginning now. What is happening? Are there any questions? Seeing none, we're now in line for 5 minutes of debate. Yeah, I don't know if I have to reform. I mean, technically, clerical things can be done outside of committee as long as there's no content changes, such as changing this to a Word document. So I will likely be doing that, just so it's in line with the rest of the legislation. I also think we should strike the now in the final now, therefore, comma, be it resolved. Yes, that is not correct. I also think we should add commas after all of the whereas clauses, that first word.
I also think the uppercase T and the and this and that, I don't think those are supposed to be capitalized in the last three three clauses. I could be wrong. Let me check.
I think we had this conversation one time and it was like a preference thing, but I wanted it lowercase too when I did it.
Okay.
And that's my bill, so,
Yeah, I'm looking at the other ones and I think they're all lowercase.
yeah.
There's also a slash next to Ansprechs.
And the last two sources are not cited in the resolution at all.
Yeah, this needs. What day is it today?
The first. I already know
This
where they
way.
go.
Wait, we're still in debate, I believe.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay.
You
How
guys
much?
said September 9th,
How much
right?
time is left?
3 minutes and 12 seconds.
Okay. Yeah, there's too much to amend here, in my opinion, from a formatting standpoint. So I want to pass this. I don't believe that it would be in line with what we've done before. Now, I will say that this is an example where, does anyone have any content issues with this legislation? The sources need to be added, a variety of things.
I
But
don't have any problem with the content. It's just like
Just
what do you believe we should do with it,
I
considering
think the
that?
formatting issues are just, it's more than just a simple amendment. Maybe tabling it and having them fixed. I know it's not ideal because the event is the following week. We can still pass it before the event, so.
No, we can't.
Though I don't think it's that. We can
Yeah,
still
there's.
commemorate the importance of the event, even if it's following it. Like, it's not the end of the world. But
Yeah, I don't believe this could pass.
Yeah, we should probably table it, let it fix it, and pass it next time.
I agree.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
fine.
Would she have to withdraw it? Is it-
No, she can submit an amendment to it.
Okay.
It's kind of
Um,
a bummer. But
That
it's
is a
okay.
bummer. But yeah, I think that's the correct course of action for the committee.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. Is there any more debate? Seeing none, we're now in line for final privilege. You have 2 minutes whenever you're ready.
I waive my final privilege.
Are there any motions at this time? Are there any objections? Seeing none, that motion passes. Okay. Let me see if I've received an email. Okay, do I hear a motion to recess until called back by the chair by unanimous consent?
So,
Any objections? Seeing none, that motion passes. I call this meeting back to order at 5:09 p.m. on Sunday, September 1st. May members of the committee please state their name for the record.
Jackson Ranson.
Aleah Henley.
Elizabeth and Plus.
Aaron Rubai's chair.
Joshua Clark.
Any members of the present, please state your name for the record.
Nathaniel Pelton.
Julia Seifert.
Okay. With 5 members present, quorum is reestablished. We are now in line for the first ASOE nomination, last name Swain. How we've been doing this before is 5 minutes of... what do we do? 5 minutes maximum reading through the application materials, 5 minutes of debate, and then any motions. Is that procedure okay with everyone?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So start the timer. We're going to begin with applicant number 1, Swain.
Did we redact someone's name from the resume? Because I don't see the name of the last applicant.
Number 6.
Yeah.
So,
We did.
just a process of elimination.
Does anyone need more time reading the application materials? Seeing none, we're now in line for 5 minutes of debate beginning now.
I think she has a lot of great experiences that showcase she's obviously passionate about government and ensuring accuracy. I liked her answers. I don't see any glaring issues. I mean, I guess, I don't know. No, not really. I guess no direct involvement with student government or like experience with student government, but like, that's a good thing.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing. Please refrain during the debate period. Okay. Yeah. Really good accolades from the law school, which I'm always appreciative to see. Same thing with the good experience in the judicial branch of the United States. I mean, that's very important. And yeah, I think not having been super involved in student government as an undergraduate is probably a good thing for this position.
I like her answers. They seem really thought out.
I liked how she specifically talked about the textual experience, and then she taught a legal writing course, or was an assistant for a legal writing course, and also assisted the professor with amicus briefs, law review articles, and book reviews.
Her experiences seem very applicable to this position, especially working for the federal judiciary.
Is there any more debate? So we now move into any motions at this time.
Is the motion to approve?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I move to approve,
Would it be?
Caroline Swain.
It would be to recommend.
To recommend
Yeah.
Caroline A. Swain, by unanimous consent, for the supervisor, assistant supervisor elections role.
Are there any objections? Seeing none, that motion passes.
How do you pronounce that? I mean, excuse me, spell that last time.
SWAIN.
Awesome. And I just record the approving, right? I just record the approving or denying of the applicant.
Correct. Yeah. It's either we recommend or do not recommend to the floor. Yeah. Okay. We are now in line for applicant number 2, last name Barrett, Barrett. 5 minutes. When everyone's done through the application materials, can you just give me a thumbs up or something? Perfect. Okay. 5 minutes beginning now. Does anyone need any more time? Seeing as we do not, we're now moving into a 5-minute debate portion on candidate number 2.
As for experiences, I mean, just, it seems, check his year, but, so he's a second year. I think that's, him being student body president at his high school is really impressive. Yeah.
I mean, I don't see anything wrong with the application. I like his answers. I do think he's a little bit inexperienced. I mean, yeah, student body president in high school is impressive, but I don't know. I don't think he's I feel like it'd be easier to recommend if he had a little bit more related to policy or some more interest in it. I don't know.
Yeah, I think he was also a senator at Santa Fe College. That is any. But I see what you're saying.
He also did Model United Nations and Senate while being a freshman, which that type of rapid involvement is something to like look at and see ambition and potential from.
Yeah, this isn't how I would structure my resume, but I do think that the diversity of academic experience coming from Santa Fe College and having served as a senator there and seeing how the electoral process works there is something that we can benefit from because I don't think we get a lot of input from other universities or other institutions that do elections for student government, so I think that's good. I do like the last answer a lot because I do think that it's important to have good communication with the ASOEs while maintaining a little bit of freedom for the SOE to handle more urgent matters. I think that's important to recognize, and the fact that this candidate did recognize that, I think is a good sign. Yeah.
I agree. I think his answers definitely, like, for me personally, like, make up for maybe the lack of experience because they seem well thought out, and I can tell that they care, you know, like, they'd actually do stuff.
Is there any more debate? Seeing there is none, we're now in line for any motions at this time.
I move to recommend Micah Barrett for the Assistant Supervisor of Elections role by unanimous consent.
Are there any objections? Seeing none, that motion passes. Candidate 2 has been recommended. We're now...
Oh, sorry. Is it spelled B-A-R-R-E-T-T?
Yes. All right, we're now in line for candidate number 3, Damuth, D-A-M-U-T-H. I could be saying that wrong. So 5 minutes to go over the application materials, then we will reconvene to debate. Does anyone need more time? Seeing none, we're now in line for 5 minutes of debate beginning now.
I like the fact that they're in data science. I feel like that experience with like coding and handling large amounts of data could come in handy in the role.
I know they mentioned in the actual application that they're a part of student government. It's not on their resume, but some of the experiences on the resume I feel like could be applicable to this role, like clerical work, handling events for student organizations, and communication skills.
Is there any more debate? Seeing none, we're now in line for any motions at this time.
ASOE by unanimous consent.
Are there any objections? Seeing none, the motion passes.
Sorry, I keep asking this. How do you spell the full name?
DAMUTH.
And then it's first name. How do you spell that?
It's fine.
Gotcha.
That's what Blake does. Okay. We're now in line for candidate number 4. This is Kelly. Kelley. Yep, and 5 minutes. Whenever. Over 5 minutes right now. Anyone need any more time? Seeing none, we're now in line for 5 minutes of debate beginning now. Is there any debate?
I think she has good experience, and yeah, I think that she had good answers, and the skills that she acquired through the leadership experience that she listed, I think is applicable. I don't see anything wrong with this candidate.
Any more debate? Seeing none, we're now in line for any motions at this time.
I move to recommend Morgan Kelly to the ASOE position by unanimous consent.
Are there any objections? Seeing none, that motion passes. We are now in line for the 5th candidate for the ASOE position. Last name Minor, Minor. So 5 minutes to go over the application materials, beginning now. Then we need more time. Seeing none, we are now in line for 5 minutes of debate on candidate 5. Beginning now.
From her answers, she seems really passionate. I like how she talked about how she was a transfer student from UNF and how she will use that to further her commitments and passion in this role.
Yeah, I think that's something really unique and beneficial to applicants to any role, is having that unique perspective as a transfer student or just someone who's had that passion to be here and really wants to see the university improve. I think that's something very admirable.
Yeah, I agree. I also really like the ideas that she mentioned in the third answer. Yeah.
She also has a lot of experiences, so.
Yeah.
Is there any more debate? Seeing none, we're now in line for any motions at this time.
I move to recommend Ava R. Minor to the position of ASOE by unanimous consent.
Are there any objections? Seeing none, that motion passes. Okay, so ignore on this next one that the name is redacted on the resume. I promise it is this individual. I will unredact it as soon as I can, but for the sake of time, this is what we're working with. All right, so we have, oh, it says it in the document title too, so that's fine. So 5 minutes to read over the application materials, beginning now. Does anyone need any more time? Seeing none, we're now in line for 5 minutes of debate. I just want to say this is probably one of the coolest resumes I've ever seen. This is very interesting. There's definitely a breadth of experience here. Commission officer, 6 years of biological research studies, including satellite technology, exploring radiation, aerospace, speech and debate, mock trial, blogs.
Definitely very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty cool the like nonprofit they founded. That's pretty
Mhm.
good.
She was an marshal and commission officer.
Mhm.
I like the ideas they have in the third answer.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that this is a good candidate.
Mhm. Is there any more debate? Seeing none, we're now in line for any motions at this time.
I move to recommend Anjani Sharma for the ASOE position by unanimous consent.
Are there any objections? Seeing none, that motion passes. SHARMA.
Thank you.
So we are now in line for SSB 2024-1572, I believe.
Give me a second.
Yep. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, you're right.
Awesome. You have 5 minutes to present whenever you're ready.
Give me just a second. Lauren. Get the clock out here. All right. Okay. So this is the Support the Future of All Gators Act. So once again, in the spirit of a lot of the goals that have been put forth by both political parties, I thought it would be a great idea to codify the distribution of free business cards for students in again support, as the title says, of the future of all Gators. So this, and I already see the arguments coming my way. So we've been through this before. I'm not going to keep on harping it. But this is, a significant step towards codifying it, allowing for those business cards to be given out when those, applications are received. Obviously, it says clearly utilizing all resources applicable. So that's like the big key disclaimer there, right? So as long as that's there, that gives sort of the ability for the executive cabinet to say, hey, this semester we don't have the resources to make it happen. We can't do it, and they're not going to get in trouble for not doing it. So just, I've tried to cover my bases here. But anyway, I'm going to go.
All right, we're now in line for 5 minutes of Q&A, beginning now. Are there any questions? Okay.
Never mind, I answered it.
Okay. All right, are there any more questions or no? Seeing none, we're now in line for 5 minutes of debate beginning now.
I mean, I personally think it's a good cause. It's something that should be codified. It is an initiative that I think would be great for the executive cabinet to do. I do like as long as resources permit, the printing and distribution of business cards. I think just adding that to most of these, most clauses that are asking the executive cabinet to do anything would maybe overcome any potential fears of feasibility, because it's, again, giving them a way out if they don't think it's feasible that specific semester or that year. But it's putting it in the codes that that's an initiative that, if resources are available, should be done.
Again, same precedent. I mean, this is a good idea. I think, but I'd like to hear from their perspective about how it could be done and more specifics before we pass this.
Is there any more? Sorry,
just to
my bad.
clarify, like more specifics from like the executive cabinet
Right,
or from
yeah.
the bill itself.
From the executive cabinet.
Okay, cool.
Is there any more debate? Seeing none, we're now in line for 2 minutes final privilege. Whenever you're ready.
Yeah, so once again, I've provided an avenue for the executive branch to get out of doing it if the resources are not permitted. There's a full year of opportunity for them to execute this, so it's not like it's super urgent or like an 8-week sort of restriction like some of the other bills have had. So this is one of the most sort of general, really kind of easy thing to hit, off the bar. I also actually even tried to make considerations for constitutional questions by inserting a clause to make sure that it's being distributed in the order of arrival of applications, which avoids any issue of, us not considering things first come, first serve, of course, because obviously, we're not going to be able to give out 60,000 students business cards. So once again, I'm just going to say that this bill, there's nothing wrong with it. It just simply provides the opportunity for support for the future of all Gators, as the title says. So I once again would encourage you to pass it, but I see where this committee is going, so I'm going to yield.
All right, we're now in line for any motions at this time. Are there any motions?
I move to table SSB 2024-1572 by roll call.
All right, there's been a motion to table by roll call vote. May the clerk please take roll.
Wrightson, Henley,
Yes.
Sarkey,
No.
Swasey.
Seeing as my vote does not affect the outcome, I will abstain from voting on this matter. In a vote of 4 to 1 to 1, that motion passes.
It's 3 to 1 to 1.
Oh, it's
One
sorry.
draft.
I apologize. In 3 to 1 to 1, that motion passes.
Point of personal privilege, I need to be somewhere soon. Yeah, so
How soon?
like I could stay for one more.
Okay. All right, we're now in line for SSB 2024-1573. You have 5 minutes whenever you're ready.
Yeah, so once again, addressing another really serious issue we have here at the University of Florida. As I'm sure you guys know, particularly socioeconomic issues right now are really hurting our students. And so this is a bill that specifically advocates for the creation of events that support our Gators when they come back to school, by hosting annual back-to-school supply drives. This is nothing new. This is something that, I remember participating in elementary school. So, implementing it here at the University of Florida to give all of our students a fair shot to succeed, especially because the student government already does so many events that are very similarly tailored to this. It's a great idea. Once again, this isn't a codification. Of course, the next bill is, so, we'll get to that. But this is purely a resolution that advocates for not only student government, but also administration and other stakeholders to get involved in this process and to, do something really beautiful, which is to collect some school supplies and give it to students. So I'm going to yield the remainder of my time.
All right, we're now in line for 5 minutes of Q&A, beginning now.
I like the intent of the bill.
Thank you.
Did you do the health caucus supply drive? And did you get any insight from that if you did or no?
No, I'm not aware of that.
Did
Was that
that-
over the summer?
Was Danny working there? Or no?
Yes,
Okay.
that'll come up. Yeah, it's
Sorry.
fine. Similar intent.
Okay.
It's fine.
Was that over the summer, though?
Yes.
Okay. I was totally checked out.
Do you know if UF has done any sort of back to school drive of any sort this year or in the past or through
so-
government?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I'm not familiar of any UF sponsored ones. Obviously, there have been many student organizations that have done various drives, not even just school supplies, but just really anything. So yeah, oh, that answers the question. Not sure. But of course, if it doesn't already exist, this is a step towards that.
Are there supposed to be hyphens between back to school or no?
Where-
Because it's a preference thing. Like
Where
the
is it?
title, the last, therefore clause. It's a personal. It doesn't really matter. My computer's trying to correct it to have hyphens.
I don't see where there are hyphens.
There aren't any. I'm just saying.
Oh, I see
Yes.
what you're saying. It is one of those not really sure.
It doesn't really
if
matter.
The English language gods determined that to be something hyphenated. So I don't know. Honestly, if I don't know. If it's something you prefer, I go.
No, my computer just prefers it.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
It-
I didn't have any trouble when I wrote it, so.
Yeah, I don't have any issues with
Okay.
that. Just wanted to ask. Are there any more questions? Seeing none, we're now in line for 5 minutes of debate. Yeah, I like this. There are a few things. Actually, there's only two things we would have to do is move the sourcing in the first, second, and third whereas clauses to be right before the and, before the semicolon and. Like the sources 1 and 2, they're kind of in the middle of the paragraphs.
Well, this is a debate, so I'm gonna-
Yeah. Unless I've missed out in other bills, which hopefully I did not. That's how it's supposed to be. That's how I've been doing it all summer, and in the spring. So, anyway, I think that's about it. Yep, short, good proviso. I don't think it needs a hyphen. I like the intent. I feel like this could be done. Yeah, and advocates, yep. Yeah, I'd be interested to find out if there have been any sponsored supply drives from UF at some point, but that has no bearing on this. Okay. Any more debate?
No, I agree. Well-written bill should be passed.
All right. We're now in line for 2 minutes of final privilege.
Yeah, so my logic, of course, with, putting the citations somewhere in the middle of the text is that, so I'll just use the citing whereas clause as an example. So you can see there that I'm citing statistics, right, from I believe it's the Census Bureau. And then immediately after I'm done citing the statistic, then I insert some sort of discussion. And that is obviously not a citation, that's my own input, right, of I state indicating lesser socioeconomic standing. So that's my opinion, right? That's where the resolution part comes in. So if you want to change it to the end, that's fine, but in a way that's almost stating that opinion that I inserted is cited, and that's not correct. So, yeah. If you look, I know it's a really bad example, but if you look at Wikipedia, you'll see the in-text citations are very similar. They use the brackets. They are very careful to put the brackets immediately after the end of the actual cited verbiage, because that's the verbiage, and then the rest is discussion and conjecture. So if you want to change it, that's fine. I just maybe think it's a bad precedence to set in case, yeah. Anyway, for the rest of the bill, though, obviously very important that it passes. We all feel the weight of the socioeconomic state right now. So let's do it. I yield.
All right. I'll let the committee at rest really quickly. Sorry, I know you have to go. Like in these and all the ones you submitted before, it's at the end, even if you are making a conclusion based on the sources.
Okay, that's fine.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
I don't know why we don't do that, and if we want to, yeah.
You can just put it in.
Okay. Call the committee back to order. We're now in line for any motions at this time. Are there any motions?
I move to pass SSB 2024-1573 by unanimous consent.
Are there any objections?
I
Wait.
object.
Yeah, we need to amend it.
Oh, sorry.
All right. Are there any other motions? Do I hear a motion to amend SSB 2024-1573 to move in? Wait, that's the wrong. What? Why am I in the wrong bill? Yeah, 1573 to move the source number in brackets 2 in the second and third whereas clauses to directly before the semicolon by unanimous consent. Are there any objections? Seeing none, the motion passes. Are there any other motions at this time?
Move to approve, to pass SSB 2024-1573 by unanimous consent.
Are there any objections? Seeing none, that motion passes. We are now in line for, copy this too, 1574. Okay. Okay, in that case, are there any motions at this time?
Is it to adjourn? Yeah, sorry. I move to adjourn the Judiciary Committee by unanimous consent.
Are there any objections? Seeing none, this Judiciary Committee meeting is adjourned at 5:50 p.m. on Sunday, September 1st.